thanks everyone for coming, and we'll get started at 6:06. Great. First item on the agenda is to review the prior board meeting minutes, which have been circulated. Are there any comments?
The February meeting was not, the minutes were not shown, right?
Correct. So the February meeting minutes are not ready, so we won't be reviewing those. We'll be reviewing the November 16th, 2018 board meeting minutes, which Denise circulated, and there's a copy here as well.
I didn't have any issues. We batted it back and forth several times.
Copy it.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion?
Thank you, Steve.
Okay. The minutes are approved as written. Excellent. Okay. Monday.
vote?
Any all in favor of approving the minutes as written?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. The minutes are accepted as written. And on to the treasurer's report.
Okay. A lot of things on the treasurer's report. So, I circulated the November financial, so we could approve that.
I make a motion to approve the November and December financials.
Yeah, do them one at a time.
I'll make a motion to approve the December financials.
Anyone want to second that?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
That's the December financials.
These are for the December financials that Kathy circulated via email Sunday night, I think it was, Saturday or Sunday night.
And they had been done in December too, when we were gonna
Prior,
have the meeting.
sure.
So, but I went ahead and forwarded. Okay.
So no further discussion? Okay,
Uh,
any objections?
no?
Favor?
Approved.
Great, they're approved.
Okay. Okay, the December financial.
Actually,
That wa-
we
that-
misspoke. and
that was
is
a
what we
December,
just
yeah.
approved.
Oh, did I?
You said
Yeah.
December,
So-
so I think that's what you had
So-
written down.
I'll move that we approve November.
I had discussion on December, that's why I wanted
Oh,
December.
okay.
So that was November then?
Can we
So-
say that
That's fine.
was November?
That's
I'm
fine.
okay with loose parliamentary procedure if everyone
Because
else
she
is.
had asked also whether that was November.
Bruce had said December.
Oh.
We
I just
clarified
misspoke.
December.
That was November.
That was November? All right, so we'll clarify it was November.
Okay.
That's fine.
On December, I just wanted to mention that it is a draft for December because once the tax return is done, there can be changes by the CPA. So I don't finalize it until after I get the tax return back.
That makes-
But the only thing that would change on that would be the balance sheet, if there's any changes. And last year there was no changes, so I'm not anticipating any.
but you never can tell. Some little thing.
So that's why it says draft for right now.
And it was Vicky preparing, when did Vicky stop preparing and you start preparing? Was that in December or
No,
In
January, as of January 1st.
So Vicky finished off
Yes,
2018?
yes,
That was
and
nice of her.
she's the one that sent it off to the CPA.
Okay, great.
Okay. Now, Bruce, do you wanna?
Oh! I propose approving the December draft report.
Second.
I feel like I can't because I
Any-
read it.
You can't.
Any further discussion? All in favor of adopting approving the December draft financials as presented by the treasurer?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the draft December financials are approved and submitted.
Okay, so, I sent out an email to everybody regarding the January financial. When we had discussed before whether to put all the income, because we're cash basis in the 1 year, I did reach out to a CPA, and I told you what what she had said on it. And we would fit under, being able to put it all under the financial for January. Not like it had been done in the past of putting it as a negative prepaid and accruing it per month on it. After thinking about it and after we talked some, I decided it would probably be better to go ahead and keep it like it has been for the past years, just to be consistent.
Mhm.
So that's how I prepared the January financial.
Cool.
Okay?
I thought the budget versus actual looked like a nice format. You were gonna do year-to-date, which I think would be a great column. Of course, in January it doesn't
Yeah,
come
that's
out.
why there's no year-to-date, and then next time I'm trying to put it with a year-to-date and then a comparison to last year's year-to-date. So we have
Oh, wow.
that going too.
I was just wondering, that'd be great. Awful lot of columns.
Year over year.
Are we gonna?
Well, we might have just a second sheet for the
Oh,
comparison.
Okay, I was thinking the percent of budget. I don't know, if you had to eliminate one, I wouldn't mind that one going away. We have the dollars in it.
I'll see whether it can. Sometimes you can't take a column out
Oh, just
Okay.
the way you.
with the way
you
that
run it.
QuickBooks is. But
Okay.
let me check with that, okay?
Well, I
But
mean, the
also-
second page would be.
Is everybody okay with that, to take out the percentage?
Yeah, I have no objection. I think different presentations for different purposes makes sense.
So we would just have the month, year to date. We'd have the month, year to date, budget, and
year over
then
year.
last year. I'll
Yeah.
try to do it that way. Okay?
It's not too complicated.
If it's possible to get a 18 full year versus a 17 full year, I was thinking about the annual report that we have to put together, and that might be a nice metric to include, where our 18 expenses were versus in our 18 financials versus our 17 full year.
For what report?
For the annual report that we have to prepare, that'd be a nice metric. I
That's
think.
that's going to be in May or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So just
Yeah,
just while we're
I
thinking
could do
about
that.
formatting,
Yeah,
that'd be a
I
good
could
one
do-
I think to
that
Yeah.
wouldn't be an issue. I could do prior years.
perfect.
Okay.
And then I had a separate question on. Okay, go ahead if you still had things.
No,
to
are
go.
we? You have a question on this?
No, it's just in general related to the end of year. But we can go ahead. Let's go ahead and finish that up, and then I can ask the question.
So do we want to approve?
Oh.
Somebody want to make a motion? Or?
Yeah, I'll move that we approve the January financials.
I second it.
All in favor? Or any-
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, January financials are approved.
With January, you see the balance of our checking account at 140-some thousand. I'd like to get approval to move funds over to North Island Credit Union to get a higher rate. I looked into trying to get a CD or something at both U.S. Bank and North Island, and I would have to get everybody back in to set up a new account. So it becomes more of a hassle right now. So I would say if we could just move money for right now until we decide, see what that is.
In round numbers, what do you think? What kind of return could we get on a CD if we have to?
Depends on how long we want, but I mean, it looks like for a year to 18 months, it's going around 2%, something like that. But it's how long do we need to tie it up?
Yeah. yeah,
Because
always
I
the-
think that once maybe Dan does his report regarding the kind of an estimate of what the court surfacing might be, that's where we're gonna really need the money, is the court surfacing.
Yeah. But we got, yeah, kind of depends how much you put in. You certainly put 100,000 in that without any risk at all, I think, including the resurfacing. But I certainly, how much were you thinking of moving over into the North Island?
I'd like to have, because we have most of the money in now. We won't get a lot coming in after this because of the fees.
Yeah, we'll just get the monthlies from the pros. And,
Yeah. Our expenses for the year total about 162, but let's take out 14. So about 150 is the expenses for the year. I'd like to, and we could always move it back. I would say maybe if we do maybe 75.
leave 75 in.
No,
Or move
move
70.
75.
So I'd leave 65 or something.
What are we talking about in terms of what the interest income difference would be?
Well, the
for
checking
a 6
account doesn't
month?
have any,
It's effectively.
No, it does.
we do get some, but
Yeah. North Island is around 0.25%. It's low.
6
I mean,
month
so
CD
it's.
would be.
I don't know. I'll look
at
into
it,
it,
yeah.
depending upon what you guys want. You know.
Well, I mean, we need to look at it,
But for right now, let's
Yeah.
get higher interest over to.
yeah,
as long as the
so a
money's
quarter
just
is
sitting there
not-
anyhow.
Yeah.
To me, that's an
Maybe.
easy one. Yeah,
Yeah,
if we have two
definitely.
checking accounts that are both 100% liquid and we get a higher interest rate at one, as long as we don't exceed the insurance that, and I think the insurance
Right,
was now
250.
250, so we're
Right.
not close to that cap.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's staying under the 250.
Right. And I think at one point there was even some discussion about why we were maintaining two separate accounts. At one point I thought it was because of the $100,000 limitation that existed at the time. But I don't even understand why we have two separate accounts right now.
Well, I'm just wondering, I don't know how it was in the past, but it looks like the North Island has been about the same of what is our reserve. So I don't know whether they kind of set that up for the reserve account.
Yeah, yeah, that's what
so
I
I-
thought too, but it doesn't seem to quite jive, but we could go back to something like
Yeah,
that.
because right
But-
now the reserve account is 95, and that's like 98,
Yeah.
you know.
But do you have checking against North Island?
No.
That says it's money market, so that's why you have two. One you get a little interest, and
Yeah,
one's checking.
Sure. If you're getting a better interest rate because it's a non-checking account, I don't know. I mean, it sounds like there's some opportunities to either simplify our banking posture by having one account or multiple accounts on one
I'd still
institution.
keep two. I'd still keep two, just that way you don't have all your money in one, and also for liability, you know, I mean, we have, yeah,
I mean, we've traditionally done it. I'd say, if that's what you want, stay with it. Though I'd really like to see us look into the
CD,
CD
yeah.
since we've had, these kind of numbers floating around for a
Okay,
while.
yeah, I mean, I'm waiting to see what
Yeah, no
we're
rush.
gonna need for the courts, and then see
Yeah.
how that is. So, okay to move 75,000?
Make a motion to approve that.
Anyone want a second? And do you have the motion? And you have clearly what the motion is.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure, as I said in the email, that we give Denise time to
$75,000.
make sure she gets the
Long Island.
Okay.
North
Great.
Island. North Island.
North Avenue.
Long Island.
Anyone want to second the motion?
I second it.
All right, Diane has a second. Is there any further discussion? Nope. All in favor of moving $75,000 to the North Island Credit Union, Denise? Did I get that right?
Yeah, North Island.
Hang on, I think we had
Is that a CD?
No.
no,
Not yet.
it's
Oh,
not a
okay.
CD.
Okay.
It's a money market account that I believe is liquid. We can
Yes.
move money in and
Yes.
out at any
Right.
time without any
Okay.
limitations.
Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion, questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Just to let you know, Vicki Wood has resigned as a preparer of our financials. So I had a disk. She gave me a flash drive with the QuickBooks on it, so I have that. That's how I'm doing the financials too. So I do have all the history. That's why I'm able to do those
That's great.
financials that you want. So I just needed that on the books that I will now be doing the financials. Okay. Until for the rest of my board season.
Are we
Short term.
backing those up in the cloud, or
No.
what's our
There's no-
backup strategy?
I do a flash drive.
So there's a separate flash
Yeah.
drive.
I back it up on my computer, and I also do the flash drive. It is not the online.
So it's a local install
Yes,
and a separate flash drive backup.
right.
Okay,
And on my computer too.
all right.
Okay.
Is an additional backup copy something that we may want to put in the club records off-site in case for whatever reason we had an issue at your home, or the only copy of the club's records?
Yeah,
are
I
at this
take it.
point?
I take mine off-site. The backups,
Mhm.
because if I had a fire at the house,
Right.
I got it. The other backup then.
Okay.
But I have no problem on bringing a disc each time and having the secretary have it.
I don't know what people think.
Well, as long as separate location.
Where is the location?
I take it to my office.
Okay.
It might be a good idea though, since it's end of year, to copy all the history and stuff and put that into the files. Give a copy to secretary to keep as a separate, because that way the history is in a separate place.
Okay.
All the year
And then
end stuff is
it's not quite so
finalized.
much
You
action.
know, it's
Yeah.
not a draft anymore in Texas.
Okay.
no.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay.
Once it's closed for the year, bundle that all up and put it on a CD.
Okay. I had to pay Vicki like $20 for the flash drive that she did, so I went ahead and did that. So I'll see. I may have some littler flash drives. If I do, then I'll just give it. If I have to buy one, I'll let you know. Okay.
Related to Vicky, should we consider sending her a thank you or a certificate of appreciation on behalf of the club for all of the time that she donated over the years?
Absolutely. Yeah, she's been really,
I mean, that's a lot of work without any compensation or even recognition, really. So
Well, no, we would be paying her. We paid her during each month for the financials. So when you say without
Okay.
compensation,
She
she was being paid,
compensated.
but it was a low rate.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was a
it
minimal
was.
rate.
I mean, it was,
Yeah, it was-
a token amount, really.
it was
probably,
125 a month
Yeah,
that she
it was
charged.
just an idea. I mean, sometimes
Yeah,
recognition
I think
goes a
it's a
long
good
way.
idea.
Sure, yeah.
Maybe give her a gift card or something. You think?
So,
That's so hard to
yeah,
figure
I don't
out
know her
how much
very
of
well,
those
but something that
things
would
are.
be appreciated might be a nice gesture on behalf of the club.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's a good idea. You always wonder what's a right amount.
I think just maybe 100.
Yeah, it was kind
Yeah,
of.
that
Thinking.
sounds good.
Fine with me. I mean, it would have
Gift
cost the
card
club
or,
significantly more to do
Or
it anywhere else.
just a check, or what do you? Problem with gift cards, where you take it to, Costco or Amazon or.
Oh, I usually just do the Visa gift card so
Oh.
that they can use it anywhere.
Oh, you're
you know.
right.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
You know, but I mean, if you want me to do
No,
a
no.
check, that's easier. But
Yeah, that Visa. I mean, that
Yeah.
sounds pretty good.
I think the gift card would be a good idea.
Yeah, it's a little,
It's a lot of work.
slightly more personal.
Yeah.
okay, so I'll get $100 gift card for her, and then want me to get a card and have everybody sign it. I'll
That'd be
somehow
nice.
get it
Yeah,
around.
nice.
Okay, I'll do that. So with Vicky not being the financial person anymore, on the statement of information, the California Statement of Information agent needs to be changed.
Oh.
So we need to do that, and we need to put somebody on there. Brian, do you want to be put on there, or?
I mean, I could short term if we had a legal office or a CPA office. I don't think a CPA would do it.
No, I mean, I think it's gotta be,
Sure, I'll
I mean,
do it for you.
or, I guess what I thought, and I'd have to me, it's more of an agent for service.
Right.
Okay, that's what it is, okay, if we're getting sued, who are they gonna serve? Because
Official
we're a
notification.
corporation.
It's official notifications, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That'd be funny that Vicky would have been on it then.
Usually,
It's kinda.
Well, she was a board member for a long time.
Oh, so maybe it was just a story. Ah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm happy to do it in the interim.
but
if there's a
I was
different-
wondering whether we should put, Emma on there.
No.
No? Okay,
Because it should be the club, and we're the club.
okay,
You can throw me on there short term.
Okay.
And then I don't have a problem with that.
okay. So Brian will be, we'll change the California Statement of Information agent to Brian. No, we'll get that done. Okay, so then we had questions, told you this is long, regarding the fidelity bond, for the club.
Oh, yeah.
So I contacted the insurance company that we have our D&O with, and she checked into it, and we are covered for fidelity loss, theft and stuff, because the officers are the only ones that are signing the checks. And so because of that, we are covered, and I have a email from her stating that.
So that we don't have to have a separate fidelity
Yes.
bond because we're already covered.
So we just saved,
What is that? That's from
$1,600.
Gallagher.
yes.
Can I take a look?
Yep.
Thanks.
I gave you the minutes, I mean, not trust, did I? No, okay, that's for you to have in there. Okay. And
I'm
mine,
glad she was able to do that.
Yep.
When I had spoken with her, she wasn't willing to put that in writing. So
no, I
Your-
learned to get it in
your
writing.
powers of persuasion must have come through because she wasn't willing to put that in writing for me. So
She did call the insurance company and went through all the stuff with them,
yeah,
and they agreed, so. Okay, so the.
Right?
yeah, it's
Yeah,
great
it's
news.
wonderful.
So the second thing, or the last thing that I have is with our AED equipment, is through the San Diego Fire Rescue Department, service level agreement. And we pay an annual restatement fee of $50. So we have a contract, so I just need to have, and I sent that contract out to everybody so if we could get that approved, I have to get a check out this month, and then Brian would sign the contract.
So a motion to approve the
Motion
contract.
to approve the
The
AED
Greens.
contract.
Yeah, I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion to approve the contract for the AED. Pass.
Do we get to test it or something?
Let's hope not.
Oh, yeah, that's not voluntary.
I'm the
You know that. They have it. I went through the workshop.
Yeah, I know, I've seen this.
The what?
I went through the certification thing on that.
Oh, I did too, yeah.
And then they have the dummy, that's what she said, you can test
Yeah.
on the dummy.
Yeah. I did, once I'll make a copy of the signed one.
And then Denise will get one. Or...
Denise will get one,
Perfect.
and then I'll give it to one to Kathy, so
Excellent.
that, she can have it here at the,
There's a really good story about that AED if anybody wants to know it after the meeting. It's a good story. It's a hell of a story.
About the doctor?
Yeah.
Oh, the one that it was used on?
No, before that, about who it's named after. You know, it's in someone's name. Stewart.
Oh.
Anyway, it's a good story.
You may have had it on your list, Kathy, but while you're looking through there, did we get the?
I've been wondering what, maybe you might know. What site is it? Would this be, Emma? Then?
It would be fine with me. I'm
Okay.
certainly there.
Because of,
Yeah, I would think
Okay.
that would be appropriate.
okay, so, did you have another question?
Just about 1099s, if those were sent out for 2018 yet or not.
Well, they had to be done by, and I think that Vicky does those, because I saw, that she sent one to Emma.
Okay, so that's great.
But I don't know if she sent out any others, I did not see.
Okay,
So.
maybe something to just follow up. I don't know if there were any others to send out. Maybe there were, maybe there weren't. But
Oh, yeah, great question.
I know I don't write any, I have not written any checks that would make it a 1099 event.
okay, all right, great. Anything
Done.
else? Done. No.
Yes.
That's excellent.
You're not done.
Oh,
You said the board had to approve my petty cash.
Yeah, so you have to bring that up. So I would
Oh,
bring it
okay.
up in your,
Okay.
in
I
your
wasn't sure what the
report.
protocol is. Been doing low maintenance.
okay, all right. So are you ready to move on then? That was great, Kathy. Thank you very much. On to the social report.
Oh, okay, great. Well, it's a little dated now, being it's the Thanksgiving event, but we haven't had a meeting since then. We had 32 players come. Many of the family members also
Are
participated.
these all the same?
For what?
The Thanksgiving
I think so,
membership.
but I don't know
Oh,
what the other stuff is.
The Thanksgiving appreciation event. I know we have.
I'm not sure what
Seems
else.
dated now to talk about that in February, but I know we didn't have
Yeah.
December meeting or such too. So just to share. So many family members came too, which was really nice, and just watched the tournament too, and had a great potluck. And
How many members showed?
we had 32 members, and then a lot of families and kids and spouses and such too that just came and watched and enjoyed the potluck. Everyone came and brought a dish, so it was a really huge, actually really nice spread. We had turkey themed medals, so we had LMTC turkey medals for the winners. We had prizes. We had a Murray calendar gift certificate for $20 for the top teams. Was what we did. It was a doubles round robin. It was just a Friday night fling. So it was many of the Friday night fling group that was there, and then many others that had participated too. I got great feedback. People said they loved it. They had a really great time and had asked if we'd do it again or do events like that too. They really enjoyed the food aspect, because that was kind of like bringing people together and chatting and people really getting to know members and other members. A lot of things came up out of it too, talking about different classes, different leagues, and different things too. So I would recommend when we do have events that we have some kind of LMTC booth, maybe, whether that be, and then we can have maybe a promotion for membership if you sign up that night, or we could have information about leagues and how to get more involved in day leagues and night leagues and all the wonderful things that we offer here, and also on instruction, just private instruction classes that we offer and things too. It'd be great to have all of that information and get a booth when we do events like that, I think. Also, it's just a great way of members meeting other members. So
It was fun. I was there. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
Oh, yeah.
I played with people I didn't know before in different formats. I had a good time.
Oh,
So Thank you
good.
for doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did we have any guests come for that?
I believe we did. I think there was a little hiccup there because they were supposed to come and check in, and I made an announcement that said if you are a non-member, please do go ahead and check in still, as you should, in the front desk for non-members. Still do need to pay their non-member
Because we
fee.
didn't get any.
And then Kenny had shared that he told people that it was free, that somebody did come in and check in, but that he thought it was free, so that he turned them away. So I wasn't quite sure. I think it was mostly Friday night Friday Night Fling and others. There was some people I didn't recognize and such too. We did have a check-in, but everyone that was a non-member, we did have an announcement. We had a little mic and said to come into the guests. I'm sorry if that didn't. I didn't know that didn't happen. That none of the non-members didn't come back and pay.
But I think, and maybe Dan could help me with this, when there's a social event, it's the social that collects the money, not in here. Is that?
Well, it was a free event for like a member appreciation, so we didn't collect money unless you were
a guest? Right.
Then to check in at the. But it wasn't like an event fee. It was just like a court fee. Like if you just as a Friday Night Fling, there are Friday Night Fling people that come that are non-members, and they check in at the front desk. So I told them it was just as normal for those people.
Because I guess I didn't think that it was the Friday Night Fling. I thought it was that Thanksgiving event, which makes it a social. So for future, that should be distinguished because we do have income, in the budget, especially this year. We have we wanted the $5,000 budget for income coming in for social this year.
I think in the future when we do have a fundraiser or an event, then we would definitely check in and collect funds and such too, and have that. But this was such a unique event. It was more of a membership appreciation where we weren't charging a fee.
Emily, may I suggest that next time talk to us a bit more so we could help set up the thing so we can make sure we know how we're going to collect the fees, the guest fees. Okay. It was never expressed to us. I finally went outside and asked you and Linda, how are we going to collect guest fees? You said, well, you'll take care of it. You'll get them sent in here. And no guest fees were collected that night.
No one spoke. No.
Yeah, I came down and spoke to Linda, and you had a board meeting. I went down there specifically, talked to them, and that's what I was hoping.
Oh, Glenda?
Yeah. So, but if you could talk to us, if you have an event, we could help set up and figure out how these fees are going to be. Our knowledge of tennis, we can help you find what you need for that stuff. But we're completely left out of the loop. And yet you have, somebody's been in this business for 40-something years, that you might want to, use their knowledge a little bit.
Sure.
That's just
I'm
a
sorry if
suggestion.
I felt like I did loop you in, and I did feel like I had connected about the event and suggestions and surprises of what had been done in the past. So I'm sorry if you didn't.
No, we didn't feel like we were
there was
looped in. In fact, we contacted you at the last minute and got something for you at the very last minute. Once you start setting stuff, include this. The pros,
I did.
management should be included in all the preparations of these things.
Well, I certainly did email you, and we certainly were in discussions of if we weren't going to have that many courts and such too, and I had felt like we did have some ongoing communication prior to the event, or at least I feel like perhaps Dan and I, we had, but Kathy and I know we spoke on the phone a couple times.
I don't ever remember bringing Kenny in, and you can't blame Kenny for something that's not.
I certainly
usually
don't.
the
I feel like
social people do that kind of thing.
I feel like it was a hiccup that people had thought with the non-members, because it was non-member court fee. I mean, they'd still have to pay the court fee, and we did make that. We did make that announcement on the microphone. So I don't know what kind of transpired there, why people
that's
were
just a
honest, or
miscommunication. Well, even if they were, Kenny didn't know what he was supposed to be collecting money for. If they didn't come in and say specifically, I'm here as a guest, I need to pay a guest fee, then
So-
I can see why he wouldn't.
Sounds like there's an opportunity to have a checklist for the future events,
for
just
next
to
year.
make sure that
Yeah.
we're clear on what the protocols are for check-in, for courts, for expectations between whoever's hosting, whoever's participating, with MO on the management side, and pros if they're participating. But I think overall the event ran very well, all things considered. We may have missed out, who knows, on how much potential revenue, but overall, having been there, food was great. Tennis was fun, and no one got hurt, so I think it's a win overall.
Yeah.
terrific.
And it'll be good. I mean, like that was your first event, as social. So for next time, it'll be
Even smoother.
even smoother and stuff. And then we have a budget now, you know, that we keep track on, so. Where last year we didn't, so it didn't,
Yeah.
Didn't have, right.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think first time events, you know, and in hindsight, always there's like, oh gosh, an oversight here, maybe we can improve on this or
Yeah.
improve on this. So, if it's something that seems that people was well received and good PR from it, and perhaps maybe even membership and instruction, and I think someone started doing leagues, and you know, and so I think goodwill came out of it essentially, and we can fine tune, of course, fine tune, and make sure we include that communication too.
Are you able to move on to? I don't want to cut
Yes.
off the discussion. Just trying to keep
No,
on
keep it
time.
moving on to the member survey. We did receive a good response rate relative to surveys, that is. We received 142 completed surveys. I do have a condensed report as well as the full report, as you all received via email as well. At this point, it has only been distributed within the board, so I know we were wanting to discuss as far as members interested in seeing the survey, or how we were going to distribute it, or also, you know, which version, and such. So I guess just open that discussion up here. Thoughts on that?
Bruce, you did you kind of had some knowledge, it seemed like, on the percentage of surveys, you know, and I see that we got about
Yeah.
35%
Yeah, that's huge
of replies
compared to-
from the emails that went out.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah,
because I think you said about 10, right?
Yeah,
Or-
yeah, I know when we were in business, we'd send out, I mean, not the company I was with, send out surveys, and, you know, you get 8%, 10%, 12%, you thought you were just manna from heaven. So, this was a really good response.
Great.
Great.
Good.
Good participation numbers for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we do have a variety of feedback and such too, and how it's handled, and I guess at this point of how we'd like to just distribute it, I mean, as well as I'm sure management would like to see it, pros would like to see it, what are the
Yeah, I'd
thoughts?
certainly, if you haven't copied
Those would
Dan,
like to
then I think you should copy Dan and Kathy. Though, for the members, it'd seem like, it sure be nice to condense it. There's an awful lot of stuff here, and I'd like to see them get into it and see it. I'm just
Yeah.
afraid they look at this and, you know, just
Right.
not get anything out of it. And there's, you know, there's some stuff in here, it's just like, and then there's some really interesting stuff in here, so, like any, you know, survey.
Can you take out the graphs? Maybe that will shorten up the pages.
Oh, well, that would make it,
Well, then it would be,
Because I think that you
Because
still
the
have.
percentages are still on.
Yeah,
there.
the percentages are still on there.
It would just take less paper, or
And because-
make it, I don't know, would people rather see the graphs than the percentages though?
Well, what
Of
if
We
we
have to
sort
have
of-
the percentages in there
Yeah.
either way.
yeah. I mean, so many people are into their phones. Boy, it'd be nice to get a one-page summary. I don't know how you do it, but, you know, so that people could actually
Well,
interact
maybe
on
that
their
is
phone.
something that we can work out, like, you know, group some of the questions. Overall, the consensus seemed to be, you know,
Yeah, there was that whole section where it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that whole section, the response was just what you expect. The average was 4, and there was really no, you know, those are hard to control, because one people's 4 is another person's 2. You know, so you probably, you know, take out some of the things like that, just because, or just put a summary,
I mean, for the sake of transparency, I certainly don't have any objection to putting a link on our website of the entire survey for the members, as well as printing out the entire copy and leaving it in the
right,
clubhouse.
leaving it here for anybody who
I
wants.
mean, there's certainly were things in there that were critical of me, but I think people should see,
Well,
you know, the results.
the
It's our,
ones that
it's our
have
club.
the very
It's
the
club.
totally complete one, I'm not sure that should be published because I don't think, since it was an anonymous survey, I don't think people necessarily felt like their comments that they put in there would be shared with everyone.
yeah, I
So
was
the
thinking
summary
what
one
they
would
call
be-
summaries.
Yeah.
Yeah, without all,
Even
yeah,
though,
without all the
even though their
comments.
name isn't associated with it, you
Right.
think they may have made the assumption that the
If it's an
comments
anonymous-
wouldn't have been shared with people in general. That's possible.
I'm-
I hadn't thought about it that way. I thought only that, for the sake of transparency, that opening up the entire thing, I didn't have any objection to that. So,
And that's a good thought, just put it on the website and maybe on an e-blast.
Yeah,
say, hey,
e-blast,
it's
here's a
available.
link, and you can go look at the
And
results.
keep a copy,
Keep a hard copy here
Yeah.
for.
yeah.
I'll put it in my binder for the future.
I mean, I'm concerned if
Well,
we're.
on the website, is it gonna be something that members could see or
Everybody.
everybody?
Well, it would be available to everyone. If we email it to people who are members, all they would need to do is forward it. But that would be one. That would be a little bit less public, I guess, if the concern is that people outside of the club would be able to look at it. I don't have any concerns that any
Yeah,
of
for
it,
the
but,
summary, I don't see
see a
that there's
problem with
anything in
that.
there
Okay.
that would be, I mean, it's a good question to ask, but.
The summary is completely anonymous because obviously that has no comments. It has just the statistics or just the graphs or whichever we
Yeah.
choose.
Well, I'd
choose
say
down,
just don't take anything out if we're gonna put it online.
Yeah.
No big point in
Right.
it. I was thinking if we do an email, then we'd have something smaller, but yeah, just put it online and.
it's fine with me. I mean, the people who took the survey were kind enough to take it, and they care
Right.
about the club to go through the process. So to somehow filter or selectively choose what to put out to them, I think seems a little disingenuous, at least from my own opinion.
So what are
Yeah.
you suggesting?
The,
I
the
mean,
summary one?
The
Well,
summary or the full?
I would suggest the full. I'm fine with the summary if you guys feel that's more appropriate because we might be violating what they felt was anonymous. I'm fine with either. So that's my. And I think an electronic circulation would be great, as well as a hard copy where people can come into the clubhouse and peruse it if they're not on email. I mean,
I don't care either way. I was
And
just,
I think that a lot of people, I know people have asked about,
Sure.
well, what now? We did
Yeah,
the survey,
yeah.
now what?
Oh,
Now
yeah,
right,
what?
definitely need to
Yeah.
I
get
mean, I
that
think the
out.
takeaways are also, from the board's
Right.
perspective, communicating back to the members, and if they see the same information we see, then they may have insights into why we feel like the next steps or the learning from this would
Right.
be X, Y, or Z or whatever. So
And I think that when we send it out, or send out the club news saying that the survey is now on the website, I think a letter, an email needs to go out with that also, telling them that, okay, now that it's over, now that it's done, we're gonna take a look and look at several of the items.
sure.
And let's get back to them at the annual meeting. Because some of them are saying, hey, we need more courts, or we want a big clubhouse. Well, I think that we need to do a lot of research to see, okay, here, you want a big clubhouse?
Right.
This is what it's gonna cost.
Oh, yeah.
This is,
It gives
do
us
the
a-
research, and then that way we can announce it at our annual meeting.
Yeah,
Some things that, okay, this is
Yeah.
what we found, but this is what it's gonna cost.
And there are some things that we can probably work on easily, quick,
yeah, there may be things in the interim that we can address as a board that are easy, low cost, and then there may be some bigger things that we respond to saying, thank you for speaking out, and we heard you, and here's some thoughts from the board about a new clubhouse or a reservation system or
Yeah.
some of the other things that are in there. But now, so are we close to getting a motion for how we want to distribute and communicate this, or?
Put the whole thing out there, I think, seemed to be no objections to that. Make a motion that we put a link on the website to the complete survey and an email blast to tell the folks where it is, and a copy in the clubhouse. Is that,
And email all management. Of course.
That should go out, Dan and,
That should be
that
automatic.
should be automatic now, that they get the whole thing,
And Danielle and.
well, I guess. I
I'd
hadn't thought of it in the pros.
I think it's more the management,
Yeah, I do too.
and then they could get it, go online and get it, the pros could go online and get it. Or they could look at the one in
It's a
here.
question of timing, really. I mean, we can get a link sent out in a week, so I mean, let's make sure Denise has time to get that.
I got it.
You got it?
Nobody needs a second.
Yeah.
Would anybody like to make a second?
I'll make a second.
Okay, so
You
which
wanna
are we
read
sending out?
the-
Agreeing to send out the version that
Post a
has,
complete survey online, a
comments for
copy for
everybody.
management and a copy for the clubhouse.
Is there any discussion? Is that any further discussion? No. No. Okay, all in favor?
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Thank you everyone for all the work on that, including you, Dan, and Kathy, for your input on that. I think that's a positive step for the club to get that input.
Absolutely, that's some great information, and I guess that would be, I don't want to take too much time, because obviously diving into that would take up this entire meeting. I do think that there's, some takeaways from it, and I guess taking a look at an analysis of what can be implemented and what can be done from the survey itself. I think we've got some excellent feedback here, and I mean, there's some common themes and statistics that are rather high. Obviously, that there's some wonderful things. I think the comments of excellent and above average for all the pros. I think the common takeaway too is that there was over 70% of the participants would like an online reservation system. That the selection of instruction and clinics available, people feel extremely satisfied with that. I think we're doing a great job with our website. Over 75% are very satisfied with that as well. I am concerned with some of the people that think that if they would renew their membership next year, there was only 2% that are unlikely to renew, but 14 people said they weren't sure if they would. So it's about 17 people. So
But what's the percentage? The percentage was low.
Yeah, it was like 10%.
Yeah.
So,
And that was undecided, so.
Yeah, I mean,
And there could be a lot of things. Are we moving? Are we, we're-
Got injured perhaps? Or
Right.
Sure.
yeah, so I didn't think that was a high.
So-
I know Kathy with the transaction fee for the debit card for the memberships. I know that was one of the questions. About almost 50% of people would like to be able to pay.
Some
So-
ways to-
So
how would we like to action this now that we have the information? It's going to be disseminated to the entire membership. Do we want to come up with an idea here for how to proceed next steps, or do we want to just have some chance to digest everything and hear more and then take it up at a later date? Or what's the next action item for the board?
Maybe see what is high priority, maybe prioritize what we think we could get done now, or look into, like maybe the reservation. I mean, that would be easy to look into. So maybe at the next meeting, let's prioritize, and then we'll see
do we
who
want
wants
to
to
have?
take it over.
Yeah.
Who wants to look into it.
Do we want to just because our meetings they're a little bit long. They're a little annoying. If there was any of it we could do independently, and even if it was an informal, not a real meeting, but just hey, let's go have coffee and look at the results and discuss it and see what do we want to tackle and who wants to tackle it. If we did that outside of a meeting,
It's completely fine, of course.
that might be,
I was-
even if it's not all of us, even if
Yeah.
it's just a few of us who can get together.
I was thinking
Yeah.
that maybe between now and the next meeting, we could all identify 3, 4, 5 items in here that we thought are worth further action, and try to compile that in the next meeting into a top 5 or top 10. Don't want to, top 100. We'd never get to. Yeah, really.
Hey, let's be realistic. What can we manage with all the
Yeah.
other stuff we've got coming up?
1.5.
and some things that are on the high percentage scale,
Yeah,
the
right.
70% or
Yeah.
the 65% of the club would like this. Those ones
Well,
that are real high on. I think that.
But if we each went through and
Yeah.
maybe got some side meetings going, and then brought, and discussed and selected.
So should we have an
3 or
agenda
4.
item for the next meeting then
Yeah.
to discuss the results and action of the?
That's
An
okay.
actionable, select actionable points.
I think that also, I'd like to go back to sending out the survey, letting the members know. Brian, can you do up what you would be sending out to them and get it approved by the board before it
Sure,
goes out?
I'd be happy to
Okay.
draft something. Just an explanation of what it is, an intro, and
Yeah,
and what-
and kind of say, we are looking into it,
Yeah.
it's just not that,
We didn't just take your opinions and then.
not,
Yeah.
yes, we're done.
Right. Yeah.
Thanks, we'll just send it out again next year.
Yep. Okay.
So I'll move along from the member survey, and this might be jumping the gun here because I know we're talking about the annual meeting, and so for me, I was looking at seeing, I don't know, we're going to work those dates back and take a look at our annual meeting, when that should be done, and for my role to probably set up some catering for that, or what we're going to do at that meeting. So maybe are we going to do tennis tournament? You know, are we going to do tennis play at that meeting as well? And if there's a budget for that, I don't think that we
It's your
discussed
budget.
that.
No, you have that 2,000 budget in there.
So that would be like our major fund,
Well, I
like
think-
our part of our
I think
event
our-
expenses for.
I
Well,
think to answer your first question though, it was the annual meeting I did have on the agenda a little bit later down because
Perfect.
there's all sorts of ancillary things, including obviously of what the event will be and if there'll be food provided or activities or whatever. But I did have that later on.
Great, I'll table that.
If we can
Yeah.
maybe talk about it all, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Of course, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great.
It's just on my radar because I was thinking what I
Yeah.
need to get cooking on that for, or what I need to be doing, and then essentially just kind of discussing, club news. This would be part of the club news, but it's the membership survey would be part of that club news. And then I know Nathan and Steve just had a juniors tournament that I know Brian participated and my daughter participated in and such too. I just noticed that maybe it would be great to have like a recognition at the club too, like with the club news perhaps too, seeing like who the winners are of different tournaments that we have, or maybe even on a message board or such. I think that especially for the juniors, they'd be super excited to see their picture with their parent that they have won the tournament or
So
such.
are you suggesting that maybe we revisit how we use the Club News email blast or some sort of an electronic newsletter that goes out
Yes.
periodically with some things that are happening?
Yes, like what's next? What's the events of the year? And that would be calendar of all the tournaments that are happening. Just mark your calendars. Save the date for what tournaments are up and coming, what our annual meeting is for the year. And I think that I don't think that I recall seeing that tournament on the club news either, the juniors tournament. Because I know I was talking to some people about it, and they're like, "What tournament?" and such. So I feel like maybe there's just segment of certain tournaments maybe are not put out in the club news for everyone to be aware of. Because I think that maybe some.
Emily, I might be able to answer that for you.
Uh-huh.
That was a tennis class. They ran a tennis tournament as part of their class. It wasn't a tennis tournament where anybody could come and enter it. It was part of their class.
Oh, okay.
Okay? That's why it's not listed as, come join this tennis tournament. Stephen Nate's tennis class, for that class they're running the tournament, and it was a family type tournament. That's how it was. So those things, yeah, Stephen Nate, they can put it in the club news under Stephen Nate's or Pro News, what's going on there. That's where it should probably be listed in the bulletin board. Hey, we're having this class, and it's going to be say a husband-wife class tournament this time.
Okay.
Okay?
Because I know there was kids from different classes because from different places, so I didn't know how that.
all their classes
all
or
their
something.
classes.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a social committee, right? That we at the last board meeting we
voted that we could have one.
Yeah, maybe that would be.
Steve was so gracious to nominate, and I believe he is my only, and that's why we haven't had a meeting yet. And Glenda was kind enough to also, but then Glenda has hurt herself and isn't playing tennis. So, and then I know we did put it out in the club news, just as Bruce as well, looking for volunteers for the committee, and I did not gain any volunteers. So, a little tough, right?
A committee of one, or two. Yeah.
I know the timing of that too, same with the survey too. It's kind of that holiday time, not an awesome time maybe where people are stepping up or such, even though we did get a good response rate on that survey. Maybe in the future I would probably recommend not doing the survey in a December, in a December month. Same with probably maybe asking for committee members, because in December again, people are just so inundated with the holidays. I know I am, and maybe it was overlooked because we certainly didn't get any volunteers.
All right.
But yeah, it is.
Thanks, Emily. Is there anything else?
No,
You're good?
that's it. That's all set.
I have something regarding the
Yeah,
social.
yeah, absolutely.
I saw Kathy had sent out an email to the board members telling us that Glenda was not gonna be able to coordinate the, so as social, have you found somebody to do that yet?
There is somebody in charge of Friday night.
Oh,
Flames.
Friday Night Flame, Charles has stepped up to do
Okay,
the
so
Friday night-
that's been taken
Yes.
care of.
Yes, so
Okay.
he's continually running that. If she can come back, she will, but it doesn't sound like she can, her knees are.
I just wanted to be sure that, we
Yeah.
covered whatever
Right.
Glenda wanted to
Yep.
let us know.
I think that was resolved pretty quickly after Charles was kind enough to step
Oh,
in.
okay,
Yeah.
I just didn't hear, so.
No worries.
Good follow.
Brian, I mentioned to you after that we had the big board meeting out here that my husband and I did a lot of the setup for the socials. And we are still available. We have tables, we have cookers. We would cook the food, we would cook the hot dogs or the burgers. We are available.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, they've done a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
Put
have
up
the-
that way we don't get caterers, you know, it doesn't
Right.
cost.
And we're free.
Yeah.
We're cheap.
Would you like to be a part of the social and events committee? Sure. Awesome, wonderful. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Thanks, Barb.
We have now three. We have three,
Excellent.
including myself.
And the famous Beetle barbecue as well. So
Yeah.
That's great. There
that's
you go.
awesome. All right,
Ooh,
thanks,
bubble like
Emily. Anything else on social before we carry on? Great, thank you. On to membership first.
All right, for January, we had 8 new singles, 3 new families, and 1 new junior to approve as that item on the agenda. A motion to,
I make a motion to accept those people into the membership.
Okay, second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we have officially accepted the new members.
So what are our membership numbers now?
I sent them out a couple
Yeah, I
weeks
saw
ago,
that.
and
It's-
my
so
phone
there's-
crashed 2 days ago, and it's still causing me grief. Let me see, I think I put it should be right here.
Well, so it's whatever.
So we had,
These were the only new ones since that email, or were these?
no, those were
included in-
January, so those were
Okay.
included. So we have 207 singles, 70 family, and 2 juniors. As
270 singles?
a 207.
207.
Oh, 207.
That's
Uh,
70.
70, and then 2 juniors through the end of January. And then we've had 2 seniors and 2 families.
don't have
in
seniors.
February. Singles.
Singles.
We got a lot of singers.
I
Really. So far in January, and that number's still not quite up to date yet, there's more. But through January, and it was kind of eerie. I looked at the 2018 numbers, and we had 278 through January in 18. So it was 77. So it was amazingly close to what happened. And we ended the year with about the same amount, so there just seems to be a certain number that don't renew, and then it gets replenished with new members.
You also had an idea for the membership tiered structure
Yeah,
that
so
you
that,
wanted to talk about, Bruce?
I gave out a thing last week, but if you don't have one, I will pass these out.
Hi, Alan.
Everybody get one?
I'm gonna be meeting
Yeah, we have extra copies. You guys are welcome to look.
There's another one. You have enough?
I'm gonna be meeting
Okay,
right
yeah,
now.
back yours.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and Kathy updated
I'll call you. Okay.
a list based on a formula that she had, or Kathy had, of what last year would be to this year. My formula there is actually not quite as punitive as the one we did last year. But the basic theme is do we really want to encourage or discourage partial year membership? So if you look at the first column at the top is prorated, so that's just divided by 12 and multiplied by 11, 10 or 9, right? So
Like this column here,
yeah, so under
Okay.
straight prorate.
and that's just for family is the one you did.
Well, yeah, I did that. It's
We don't have
proportional.
the singles where we have most of the membership.
Well, but it's proportionally the same idea. So the question is, if you look at the middle column, and like I say, this is actually under what the formula that Kathy had for last year. For November membership, last year, formula $160 plus, and that'd be for 2 months. Versus the $69 would be what it actually is. And one of the things I heard was that we kind of want to discourage people from just getting a 10-month or 11-month. So the formula I came up with kind of is heavy in the first few months, so the people will say, well, I might as well just get a year. But by the end of the year, it gets pretty close to the straight prorate. So if somebody comes in September and wants to start then, there really isn't too much of a penalty for them. And so, that's the question of the trade-off. Now, I ran the numbers of about what the two would do in terms of income based on what we actually saw in terms of new memberships going through the year. So there was, at that bottom two, there was about a loss of $1,200, and based on what Kathy provided, be actually a loss of a little bit more than that. On the other hand, I know some people in November, December that
That would
came
just
to
wait.
me and said, people I played with,
Right.
and they said, well, I'm coming back from injury, but I'm really not going to start until January. So, it seems like, and it just, there's no way to quantify it, that encouraging people to go ahead and start mid-year would maybe offset this loss of income. That would be a question. It would be something that I'd like to see us pursue, because I don't, if somebody comes in mid-year, it seems kind of punitive to give them this much of a penalty. But, that's something for the group
Got it?
Yeah, I hope so.
to discuss.
That's my
What
backhand.
are we doing to increase membership? I mean, you're reacting to trying to keep the status quo, or even.
Well, no, this is one proposal that I think will encourage people to join more in the middle of the year. Somebody walks in the door and, oh, what would it cost for me to join now? And they look at this number and they walk away. I can envision that happening, I don't know.
I always would have thought that the way to approach that is where the membership here is something that people wouldn't want to give up. So if you had like a set maximum number of people that could be offered a membership here, you limited the number of members here, and then everybody else would have to be walk-up rate or something like that, that people wouldn't want to give up their membership, they'd want to pay it up front each year. But then how would you get to that minimum level?
Yeah, I think
So
our
what
challenge
are
is,
we doing to increase the membership here?
Well, I think right now we're not talking about the increase, it's the, how are we
Making
gonna,
it more fair to join mid-year instead of penalizing someone who just moves here and they want to join, or they leave their other club and they want to join, but would we rather have them pay closer to what it actually costs for a 6-month membership, or would we rather have them say, oh, forget that, I'm not joining here, maybe I'll think about it in January, and by then they've gone somewhere else?
I agree with that, because I do have a friend that wanted to join in December and actually give it as a holiday gift, and then saw the fee, and went, oh, well, that doesn't make sense, I'll just wait till January. But then at that point, you're kind of losing it. Well, they've now bought a different holiday gift when they could have, already become a member. So you may be potentially losing
Perhaps we could ask Dan and Kathy if they have any thoughts on this in terms of pros and cons, any downsides that you can anticipate if we were to switch to a more evenly prorated fee schedule for joining mid-year.
Ever since we dropped the initiation fee, I think our system's been out of whack. I think going to a more fair number when you join mid-year would be the right way to go.
So no potential, yeah.
May I throw in
I
just
think that-
one quick suggestion or just food for thought?
Sure.
Because this happened to me down at Balboa. I was going to join both clubs, and the guy there said we have a quarterly, a 4-month membership.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting concept also, because I went for that. They didn't have to prorate anything, I just bought 4 months.
Yeah, I
And it
thought of
costs more
that.
than 4
And it
months.
is,
I think it was pretty darn close to the quarter of the annual fee.
it's a little bit more.
Yeah, it wasn't
It's-
much though.
but
It
it's-
was worth doing.
It's worth doing if
Just food for thought.
if you need it just for a short time. But
Just
you
a-
think of that club, they get a bunch of tourists
Right,
too.
and so it's just
And
4
people
months
that
from
are
the day
just
you
there
bought it.
for the winter, coming from the cold.
That might be possible here too, maybe even the holidays, if someone's just visiting for the holidays or something,
Well,
they might
they-
wanna buy.
Well, that's why we have the guest books. And I'm thinking that if we do this, it's going to decrease our guest fees. Kathy,
Certainly
would you
in,
say that? I mean,
Yeah,
Because
pay
our
better,
guest
too.
fees are now $10, a pop, so.
Yes, but getting 10 of those at $80, if we drop the normal membership mid-year, we will lose quite a bit of that.
and our guest fees are like 10 grand.
Yeah.
And I think if we look back, I believe we get a lot during the last,
Sure.
Well, that's probably.
last part, because they'll just go,
But would it
okay,
be
I'm
better
just
to
gonna
have
do.
them pay the fee to become a member and then renew again? I mean, that still seems better to me than guest fees. But,
Yeah, I think, one of the questions is, do we want to do things that maybe in the short term cost us a little bit of money, but are moving towards trying to get people, as soon as they think about it, get a membership, in the hope that, and I think it's reasonable, in the long run, we would start getting more members. Because we, certainly, as you brought up, we need to do things that are getting more members in the long run. That's what will get us better. And this is, I think, one small step to go in that direction.
Well, do
I
you think,
agree.
do you think that we may get more members by doing like Tommy said, with the 4 months membership?
Yeah, maybe
Well,
it's
I
too
think
cold
that's
to
a
play in the
separate
winter, I'll
thing.
just play for the summer, for 4 months.
So I think from a practical matter, I don't know that we have, and I know I'm always the person who unfortunately is nitpicking on the pilots, but I don't know that we have quarterly. I don't know that we have. Do we have the ability to do a
I think it says in
quarterly?
there we can do.
Do whatever.
We can have a
Whatever-
1-day
what-
membership or a 2,000-year membership, if we wanted to. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that separately, I was going to bring that up next month, thinking about some sort of a short-term membership, because I was thinking in terms of the summer, when people participation is low, but yet you probably have students, you probably have tourists that would come here for the summer, and so that we might be able to get a seasonal kind
That's
of
what those guest
a
memberships.
pass.
So-
But, maybe we use the guest books.
So recognizing that we could probably come up with all sorts of different ways to discuss this, is it something that we want to, is there a motion that we want to address tonight, or we can continue to use the time to discuss this? I'm not trying to change the topic, but I just want to make sure.
Yeah, before we move into the other one, I'd like to go ahead and see at some point just what the consensus is on the prorating. Because obviously, I've actually had one guy I play with that has said, hey, I'm probably a month away from feeling better and I want to join, what's it going to cost me? So obviously we need to get those numbers out there fairly soon.
Well, can we do this together? I mean, with doing a quarter membership, so that we could test it both. I mean, you could test are they gonna buy a quarter, or are they just gonna do it for the, prorated? Go with your prorated, and then also have a quarterly. It'd be interesting to see whether they're just gonna go quarterly.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
I don't think someone
that-
who's deciding they want to be a member, and that would maybe end up being a thing. Like at Balboa, people use it to join a league there, rather than doing because they don't have a league fee. But
No, they do have a league fee.
They
They
don't
have
have
a $50 league fee.
right. You can pay that, but if you're gonna play with your teammates, then you're better off, or you're playing on two different levels. You're
By the
better off
quarterly
getting the
membership.
quarterly membership than you are paying the. It comes out to just a little bit more.
I think a quarterly membership is probably worth exploring too. I think there might be a little more involved in terms of voting as well. Or if you're a quarterly member for part of the year, are you entitled to vote? Or you only you only vote when you're
During your
there's-
active membership.
during your active membership.
I mean, that's
so.
how it is at Balboa.
yeah.
If there's anything ever that you.
But I think it's worth exploring. I think
Yeah,
I mean
okay.
anything we can do to encourage membership and increase revenue would be great. I think for purposes of what Bruce had hoped to get addressed tonight, maybe we can address that and then obviously
The-
constantly revisit how we can make membership better.
And try this 10% thing for a year.
I think that's
Yeah, you can
I'd
always
like
do
to
that.
see maybe February and March being a little higher, because if people are saying, hey, January's cold, I'm not gonna do it, are we gonna lose members that are gonna wait at the beginning of the year?
Like you said, you can look at guest pass.
Yeah.
you want a sheet?
So
No, I keep dropping my pen.
you're gonna probably
Here, you
lose
borrow
money.
Oh, I know.
You're
It's
gonna
on your-
lose
it's on your
money
shirt,
by
Bruce.
that.
Oh,
I've
that's what
carefully
I'm
put
saying.
somewhere
We're
where I
gonna
wouldn't
lose
lose
it.
it.
I think
need
this
to make
seems
the
to apply
membership
mostly
a
in
valuable
November and
thing.
December, that makes sense to people then just to go ahead and wait till the next year. It seems to,
Or
the
buy guest
discussions I've
pass.
had or have had to, that tends to be more of the pushback is in those months than in any other time. I would say strike while the iron's hot. If someone's interested in becoming a member, let's sign them up and have them become, a member at that time versus waiting, because then people do explore other clubs or other avenues, and so I like your proposal to.
Do we have a motion or do we want to continue discussion? Or move on to another topic? Those are all options.
I would propose the motion to approve these alternate prorated schedule.
The
The
10%.
10%.
Yes.
I think it should be
I think.
a higher percentage for the first 6
Yeah.
months. Or for the first quarter.
So
Yeah, for the first,
we have
Yeah.
we'll have discussion. We'll assume we'll
Right.
not in a second yet, but we can carry on with discussion if Kathy wants to continue discussing.
Well, you can see February is it's pretty much the same, I think, on your schedule was 93, 96. I could bump February, March up to match the,
Yeah, is there a compromise? Is there a number you'd be happy with? so we
yeah,
can move
yeah,
on?
I would,
What
Yeah.
I was going for.
I'm with you, Nan. I'm with you. Go ahead.
yeah. For the first 3 months, I would do what we,
The 33% penalty.
well, here's what it is for, that we're doing now. And go with what we're doing now.
So no change for the first 3 months? Or current?
And then
what's 3 months? January, February, March?
March, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I could do that, block that into.
And you have
matching-
the,
Yeah, I do,
yeah.
I've got it here
Yeah.
somewhere.
and then do the prorated for the rest of that he has there.
Does anyone else, while we're in discussion, trying to find a compromise here, have anything they would like to see, or can we amend the motion to? All right, so we'll amend the motion.
Why for those particular months? Why? I guess I'm not following why that's beneficial for those months, because actually that point of those are the cold months. That could be that January, February time. Are we again prolonging people then to wait until the April?
It's not
months
gonna be
become,
that huge,
not-
and I don't think that, actually my long-term average is January's a warm month, and it's great. I mean, this has been a very unusual January. But, I don't see any reason for just a couple months to kind of make people think of, hey, I might as well just join for the whole year. I mean, that's a reasonable encouragement. And I really was more concerned about the 6 or 7 month kind
Right,
of.
those are the ones where you really lose people.
Right.
I mean, the fact that January is the renewal date,
Sure.
and the people that, I'm gonna avoid the penalty, I'll just join in February. I'm a new member in February, I let my membership lapse, I'm not gonna pay the late fee. Well,
Yeah.
so,
So, yeah, well, January, February, March, I'll make it equal to, and
So
I got a
the
copy of that.
prorated
from
rate's
Kathy.
only for new members?
Right.
It wouldn't be for people that let their
Well,
membership lapse, so they
if
can
they
say,
let their
Well-
membership go, then it,
Did-
Kathy?
Kathy has
I'm
something.
just wondering, are we going to have to make new membership cards? Because we won't know up here dates of when people are coming and going.
this
a great-
would be
What
the,
do you?
for,
I think it would expire
What do
on
you-
the 31st of the year. They would get a member, if I understand the concept correctly, if someone joined in February, for example, their membership would still expire on December 31st. So the expiration date would remain constant
Right.
yes,
regardless of when you joined.
Right.
Now these quarterly ones though, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
well,
That
yeah,
would
I
be-
mean,
that
that's
would
that's
be-
why we're
not
not
even-
we got a lot of
That's
logistics.
the month.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that the spirit, where everyone's trying to find ways
But
to make
Kathy,
it.
Kathy's got
It's
issues.
a lot of,
courage.
it would be
Yeah.
a lot of
Right.
hard work because.
But it's the same thing that you're
like
doing.
Don Stevenson, he joins, for 4 months, but then we don't know which 4 months and.
Oh, no, we aren't doing that.
We're just talking about the
We-
new members signing
We're
up.
thinking about something like that, but that's not on
Somebody
there.
comes in
Yeah,
in May and wants to join, we're just talking about how much
Yeah.
it's gonna actually cost them to
The
join.
process would be identical, the price would be different depending upon the month, compared to
Yeah.
the current schedule.
You know, the thing that I gave
Right.
you this, that's the only thing that's gonna change is the amounts,
Okay.
not the way that it's done.
I was just looking at the Balboa website and the membership information. So what they have is if you renew your membership, it's whatever, 200 and, I don't know, whatever it was for your membership. And if you have a new membership or you don't renew and then you join again, you were paying
Right.
more to join the first time, right? So I guess kind of a bit like the,
It's a reverse initiation.
Yeah.
fee,
Another
so to speak.
initiation.
Yeah.
sort of, yeah. So
Which
I
we
they-
used to have here.
Yeah, I know, I paid.
oh,
for
so
that.
it's like,
It's
so
a-
it's like $450 to join the first time and $400 if you just renew.
Yeah, that's the idea. So
Yeah.
I guess they
Interesting
kind of
thought.
push people to make sure they renew,
Right, so there you go.
which I think is kind of the idea, right? Like, we
Yeah.
really want people.
Something to think about for,
That's
a
also
better-
as
that's
well
a
as
better one than.
So I guess one thing I also noticed is that as somebody who has a family membership, we're paying way too little for our family membership.
I know.
Like based on what they have at Balboa, it's $675.
And for only 2 kids,
Yeah, 2 adults, 2 kids. Yeah.
2 adults, 2 kids
So, I
here.
mean, that's it's $16,000 difference
Mm.
for the 70 members we have. Again, if all those people would remain members is the question, but
well, and I think in discussions to raise the rates this year, we're thinking that we need to get close to that number, but we didn't want to make it a slam boom kind of thing.
I don't want to keep pushing this
Yeah.
along, but
But you would.
but I'm trying to keep it.
Sergeant at Arms.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to facilitate a little bit here. Do we want to amend the motion? If so, how? Or do we want to table it for another
Can
time?
you read me those numbers for the February, March?
No, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, I got it here, I just
That's okay.
That's usually-
lost it. So, 390.
Those are
So we
for-
have a
those are-
motion on, right? Do we,
We had
We have
We
the first 3 months, there's no charge in January, February, or March.
not no
No,
charge,
no,
no
no
change.
No change.
Okay.
I wrote change. Okay, and then it's prorated, on a prorated schedule after that.
On the
The
10%.
expiration date stays the same, 10%
That's 10% prorated schedule.
prorated schedule.
Okay.
all right. So that motion's out. I don't know if we had a second or not,
We
but
did.
we
We
did.
did.
So can we get a second then?
Who was the first?
I believe that Emily read the
Oh, Emily.
initial one that was amended by the group. So I'll second if no one else wants to.
Are you okay with amending it?
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
And then any additional discussion, or we can call for a vote. All in favor of the motion as Denise read?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thanks everyone for working together on trying to improve that. Yeah, and thank you for your input, everyone. I think there's some good comments
So,
and ideas.
Kathy, if I don't send you a schedule in the next week or so, don't slap me around.
Well, she's got that, so for the next 3 months, she has that schedule.
Well, I didn't have the juniors and singles.
No, but she does.
I have.
Well, oh, that's true.
So for the,
Next
she
time,
doesn't
right.
need it tomorrow because that's not changing until,
Yeah.
Right,
April.
but it might be worth
Still.
putting together an announcement though to send out to people so that if they did join in March, for example, instead of waiting until April, they at least knew that the structure was going to change. Maybe you
well,
could-
no, because that means they'll
Then
wait.
they'll wait for it to be cheaper.
Okay.
Well, it's not a drastic fall off a cliff difference because I had it heavily pre-rated, but we can do. When I make it up, I'll circulate this group,
Great.
and then we can
We
decide
stop it. Okay.
whether we want to
Great.
post it on the website or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, those rates aren't published anywhere anyway. I don't think so.
Still like
Well,
to hear
they're on
about-
the web.
Okay.
Oh, no, not those.
Still like to hear about what we're doing to increase the membership.
That's a great subject. It's not.
I think
on-
that's gonna be at the annual
I know
meeting
you don't
report.
have an
Yeah.
answer to that.
I think that it's at the annual meeting
I have
report.
a lot of ideas
so-
for that.
Yeah.
Well, I'd be happy to take that offline with you directly too. I think everyone in the board would probably be willing to meet with you outside of the meeting and talk about that. We all have lots of different ideas.
We all have.
What I heard was pickleball.
I hadn't heard that one yet, but
Actually, a lot of people would join, just, if you got room back there for 2 courts, you could put 4.
I'd be happy to talk after the meeting with you on that. Okay. So, maintenance committee update, Bruce.
Oh, okay. So I sent something out in December. No change since then, except I need to start working with Dan about when we want to schedule some of the activity. I didn't get much better participation than Emily got, so input on how we could get people interested and involved in the maintenance committee, because I'd really like to do the clubhouse as an activity, so we need to figure out how to get participation as opposed to hire a contractor, which would be terribly expensive.
So do we have
Hey,
a
Bruce?
tentative timeline? Oh, go ahead, Dan.
Here who's put a lot of sweat and work into this clubhouse, and should probably do it again.
Barbie, just for the record, he was pointing at you. Yeah.
When we first
Yeah.
came as management, she is on her hands and knees painting this whole clubhouse.
Yeah, that,
Well, I'm certainly willing to put a lot, I was planning on putting a lot of work on it, but, it's really a project that needs 7 or 8 people, so that nobody has a.
so certainly a club news blast with some projects around to get it working together, or is that what you're thinking, or a more official timeline and some formally scheduled things?
Well, my thought was, certainly, this is not the time of year to do it, so we've got some time to think about that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But maybe I could put together a proposed
Priority
email.
list, I think.
Well, there was a priority list in the thing I sent out, but it was just to the board. And so maybe I could put something in together that's a condensed version of what's on the list, like the court resurfacing and like maintenance and other things. And also, 2 or 3 items where, we'd look for assistance from the members. So I could put together something, circulate it, get some comment, and maybe at the next meeting,
That'd be great.
we can vote it up or down, or additional comments.
Are you talking about sending it out as an e-blast?
Yeah.
I think we've got to be careful because we're going to have a lot of e-blasts going out. I mean,
Well, I was
Right
thinking that
now,
this
so-
wouldn't go out till after the next meeting.
oh, okay.
Maybe
So
we
I'd
could
circulate
summarize.
something internally before the next meeting, and then at the next meeting, we can see if it's something worth it.
Yeah, that sounds good.
In conjunction perhaps with reviewing the survey results, because I think there might be some some
Right, there might
guidance
be
we
some
can get
items
from
on there
members
that-
there.
Yeah, that we
So,
need to,
Bruce, if I can, back to the resurfacing, is there, relative to scheduling and court availability and communicating to members, is there anything that's come up with as far as a timeline that's been
No, I
discussed?
want to
or-
get some feedback
guys
from
are still
Dan as to
working.
what.
That's something in our contract, we're to go get the bids.
Okay.
And when we met with some of the contractors, they want to come and talk to us at the end of the rainy season, so they can see how
Yeah.
much additional
Additional
court repairs
damage,
will be
yeah.
needed.
Okay.
And then we'll set times, and the contractor was good as far as doing 2 courts at a time. So
Yeah.
over the period of 2 weeks, we'll get them all done.
Okay, great.
And I was assuming it was probably we'd want to do it in the low months in the summer anyway.
Probably.
But certainly
July,
after the rainy
July and
season.
August.
is that really low months for the club?
Vacations.
When it's so
Oh, really?
hot, people only want to play.
Well, I mean,
first
I like
time.
playing in the summer.
there's still a fair amount of people, but it was easier to get a cord.
Oh, is
Oh,
it?
yeah.
And also, it's important for him to do it in dry months, so it's like,
Oh,
if it starts
absolutely.
raining, it
Dry
prolongs another
months
2
plus a month to get it to.
Okay, so it sounds like we have some runway until
Yeah.
we get to that juncture, so,
And
okay.
Bruce, also with the shed, you sent out the shed thing, the pros are still looking into it as well, so I guess that's a delay till they come up with some numbers.
Okay. Yeah, if they have some feedback of what when I went online, that was the only one I found that actually had an end entrance. That's the problem with that 4 feet. You kind of limited it.
Yeah.
Unless they come up with a
Make
different
them
place to
special
put
to
it.
make the door on those things.
Okay. Well, yeah, any input.
Okay.
And then the only other thing was related to the one thing that was pointed out on the city visit with the little step up on the crack back on that far section when the weather dries out. I can show you later when they walk. There was a very small thing that Kelly suggested that we
Get ground down or something.
just that we put a little patch to eliminate the trip hazard that was there. It was a very small detail, but I
Okay.
had
Well,
enough for
sometime.
it.
I mean, if it's really that small, I get to do it.
You want to wait till the end of the rainy
We're into the rainy
season? Don't know
season.
how much it's going to dip between.
Oh yeah.
rain
More.
right now.
Right.
More settling.
We have some time, so that's great. Okay.
The only other thing was for some reason, I'm not sure why it falls under membership, but Kathy obviously needs a lot of replenishment of forms and that sort of thing, so I've been doing that and accumulated about, I can't remember what it was, $90 or something
Oh, I thought you brought it.
in receipts
I thought you brought it. I didn't.
to pay me back for what I got at Office Depot. So, if we could just vote for something less than $100 to pay me back, then I have and I gave Kathy receipts, I just don't have the exact number with me right at the moment.
I'll make a motion to reimburse Bruce less than $100 for incidentals related to office supplies and maintenance
Yeah.
expenses.
Second that motion.
I spoke fast, Denise.
That's okay.
You can take liberties with that if you want. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Is there, thinking into the future, for some reason I was under the impression that there was like $100 petty cash as long as any 2 club members or board members were involved. Didn't need a vote of the board. I don't know why I had that impression.
I
but-
did
We did-
too. I
we
thought
did
we
talk
too.
about
Yeah, but I
At
think
some
that
point
we
it was-
put it not, that it all had to be approved except for emergency.
Yeah,
Oh,
it wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't, you have to get it approved except for emergency.
Okay. It's not a big deal, but this will be an ongoing.
Yeah.
I've already got some more on what I did at the plumbing.
Then why don't we just do
Is
it
it gonna be
figure-
under $150?
Yeah, be under 150. I got it. Like
So
about 30.
extra or with this?
I've got another $30 or $40. I haven't added up the receipts yet.
So
So
the
if we wanted
total
to make
amount
it-
would still be under 150?
Yes, absolutely.
Can we amend the motion? to make it
I'm
150?
okay with
Yeah.
that.
I,
I'm not the parliamentary police.
Yeah.
okay, so you want it to be $150?
Yes, please.
you okay with that then?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Excuse us, Bruce?
that way we get it all in.
Did
Yeah, you
finish
need a
up the
bunch
water
more of
fountain?
those one forms, I understand.
Did you finish up in the water fountain?
I did, but I understand now the drinking one doesn't drink, so I was get a chance to look at that. It must have just gotten, it was working when I did it, but it was a little low. So maybe there's something in there I need to try and clean it out.
Okay.
So the filling up my canteen was working, so I was happy. I did check, it was working, but.
Is there anything else on membership / maintenance, Bruce?
No.
No. Thank you. Annette, leagues.
Okay, so ladies' leagues are going strong. They end March 29th, and they'll be starting up again after that. We've had, it's been an interesting season with a couple of things. We have two teams that I think we really need to combine. They're two struggling teams, and I understand why, but we just, I think I'm gonna try and get the captains to all meet and have a discussion, a heart to heart, about really what's best for the players.
From my captain, she agrees completely.
Yeah, about it's
Combining them,
the 3-5s or the 4-0s.
3-5s. She was-
Well, see, that's the problem. There's two 3-5s and two 4-0s, and some are playing on both
Yeah.
teams, and they want to play 2 days a week. But I think we have to really figure out a
They
structure
can't
that's
play
making.
on two teams because of the subs.
No, you can play on a 3-5 and a 4-0,
Oh, yes, you can.
and that we have if we have two. Yeah,
Okay.
so whatever. I don't think that the whole board needs to be in on that discussion.
Yeah.
We have, so that's upcoming. That's on my horizon. I'll try and get the captains together. World Team Tennis. Boy, this is the club to be at for World Team Tennis. We have 2 new 3-5 teams. Some of them have joined as almost the whole team as members, and the other one, and the captains are members, and they're working on getting the rest of the team. We had 2 4-0 teams take the season off, but I think we still have 2 4-0 teams. And people are doing a good job paying their league fees, and that season starts this week.
Yeah.
Last
week, right?
last
First
week,
game was
yeah.
first game was
First
this
game
week.
was-
First
yeah.
game was Monday for the 3-5s
Yeah.
at least. Yeah.
So that's a really good thing that we're attracting. I mean, that's a good way to get members. They
Yeah.
come here, they play as as a visiting team, and then they think, oh well, I wonder if we can move here. I think we've probably maxed out having 4 teams at a level. I don't think we can take on any more. Carol is doing a great job of scheduling everybody, so
Right.
only one team,
Yeah.
unless they're playing each other.
Some credit to Greg and his wife Kate, who is the original 3-5, not the originals,
Yeah.
but the current 3-5 captains, who did a great job recruiting some of those other 3-5 teams.
awesome.
Everybody's been on that team, so I mean that's
Yeah.
Get the members now.
a lot of them converted.
Yeah.
One entire team, and then the captains, and maybe another one on the other team
Not
that
the other
recently
team.
came
Yeah,
in.
and one of the teams that is back at 4-0, they'd been here for a while, and then they left,
Yeah.
went to another club.
That's great.
It's a great thing to see that people come to our club, see how beautiful it is, and want to become members and move their whole team here.
Yeah.
It's a good
Yeah.
compliment.
And then the juniors are having a lot of fun too. I think the 2 teams we had last season both want to come back. Both of those captains have contacted me about putting in court reservations, and I think there might possibly be another team that's been a while since I heard from that one. But
How do the juniors work? Do they have to be members?
no, they do. They have a non-member league fee that they pay too.
So, can all of them be non-members? Or,
I think-
or
I
do
think-
you always have to have somebody as a member?
I think that the 2 teams that we have had, they're on either they're on the family membership, at least the captains are.
And I think that's how, you've got to have one member. You can't just have
So,
one team.
Like an entire
As-
visiting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's consistent across not just the juniors, but the world team as well as
Right.
the U. It's
Yeah. And then I just got an email this week from USTA that all their spring leagues are starting. They're forming, and they've got a lot of interesting formats. They've got some tri-level and mixed doubles, and so there's a lot of opportunity out there. We just need captains.
I have a question along that line.
Yeah.
There was I know lots of different USTA leagues, but there was I believe it's a men's 45 and up
Yeah.
that played on Sunday mornings out of here. It's a pretty small league, but they sort of disbanded for this most current season, and some of the members that have gone to other teams are talking about forming
Coming
another
back,
team
yeah.
here of all Lake Murray members, or
Right.
they're already members. But I wanted to kind of grease the skids and see if that's not gonna be a problem for them to get that slot back if they ask for it.
It totally depends on, and the good thing is we can contact the USTA people and say, hey, we need to make sure we don't have time conflicts.
Yeah, I don't think that'll be, I just wanna make sure that if they, apply to get their team back on Sunday here in Lake Murray, that I'm not asking for a guarantee, but just asking if there's any red
Well,
flags.
Sunday is the crazy day because all the junior teams play on Sundays.
So it's a good question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think
It
Kathy
is.
may have some insight
But they-
into that.
So there's still a team, there's still a formed team out of Lake Murray, and they actually went to nationals playing for us.
Not this season though, not the one I'm talking about, because they disbanded.
That's a 65 anyway.
Oh, I'm thinking
Yeah.
of the Walton
Yeah, yeah.
team.
Right. So there, I mean, there's the 65. They've
No, this is
also
a 45 and up.
and they've also they're starting a 55 and up now.
Yeah.
And they've got a weekday one too.
That's
So
great.
they've got a bunch of different
wonderful.
leagues that they're trying. So
So your answer is submit a request and see what happens?
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll pass that along to the captain who's
Okay.
planning on doing that already.
yeah. It shouldn't. We did it last, not this season.
It was
We did
ongoing for a few seasons, but
Right.
they all went to different teams
Yeah.
this season that's being played right now.
So there might be two teams then, is what you're saying.
they-
No, I think the guys that went to the Balboa team and the East County team, they all want to reform and come back to Lake
here.
Murray.
Okay. So
That's good.
And they're already all members.
yeah, I think so.
Is that Seth's team?
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that's the 4.5 key.
No, his was 4.
Seth's on this team. He might be on more than one team, but yes, Seth's on this team.
No, Seth's was a 4. His was a 4. So yeah.
It's a 4-0, 45 and up team, I think.
Yeah.
There we go.
Is Seth 45?
That makes it clear.
Yes.
So
I
How am I
had to think
saying
about
no
that
living?
one for a second.
So I don't want to overload the email blast, but I kind of feel like that's the only way to put it out there. Either go look on the USTA website, but I don't think people will necessarily do that. But to put a section in there of all the teams that are forming, and if anybody wants to,
Right.
people are interested, then
Does it go on our
That's great.
website also?
yeah, I think it can go on the league's
Mhm.
portion of the website.
It'd be nice to have it there.
And,
Yeah.
and Doug will put that up,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I think communication is
Yeah,
important.
that'd be
I think it's
great,
great. That's excellent news.
You know, one thought for your captains' meetings, if they could figure out some rules for scheduling and substitutions, it would make the captain's job a heck of a lot easier. I know my wife just agonizes
Oh,
over.
yeah.
Oh, the league.
It's partly because they're spread too thin, because there aren't enough,
Oh, it's because there's not enough players.
No, but then the opposite happens is for people that don't play very often. Oh, I want to play this week.
yeah.
Then
Well,
who do you
I mean, that's,
who do you play? It's,
that's
The
hard.
captain's
That's,
choice.
that's, yes, and it's not,
The trouble of
having been the
captaining.
captain, it's not always that easy to accommodate all the personalities.
yeah, if there
Um,
were some guidelines.
Guys are so much easier.
Okay.
To help them. I don't know, maybe it's an impossible task, but I
Well,
just know that you'd probably have more captains because I don't think she wants to do it again because it just,
We've had
Such a
challenge
hassle.
rules in the past with all our players and teams,
Yeah,
and that was just cat beat cat.
yeah, yeah.
So we left it up to the captains and said, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound sexist, but it was mostly the ladies that fought about that.
I'm 100% with you.
Okay.
I'm a captain of men's team
any-
any day.
Anything else, Nan? No, thank you for the hard work and great update. Diane, anything on premises that you
Premises, well, basically, last week I worked at the club, and Pablo was supposed to be here and he wasn't. So I guess because of the rain, or he thought it was rainy or whatever. But he thought it was going to rain. So I don't know when he's going to come back again. But I am going to insist that he comes back in February. I mean in March, rather. The second week in March.
so it just, he has one day and if it's raining then he doesn't come for the month? Is that kind of how it works?
Well, he's only comes the second weekend, the second Saturday of the month, and so if he missed last Saturday, then I'm gonna have him come in March.
So can he give, instead of you giving him, the money, can he give us a invoice and then we pay him by check?
Yeah.
Okay,
That'd be a great way to start this year off, to have him invoice the club and to remove you as an intermediary from the payment.
Yeah, that would probably work
Yeah,
best.
I'd be happy to be the contact if he needs someone to talk to at the club, or and when I used to play down here on Saturday mornings, I'd see him and we'd obla and chat. So
Yeah, well, and his English is somewhat
I'm fluent in Spanish, so we won't have a
good.
communication problem.
Good. I'm not fluent in Spanish,
No
so.
worries.
Didn't we have an issue because according to the rules, we have to have him, it's gotta be bonded or
There's-
whatever?
I think it would be a
Yes.
nice opportunity to transition that relationship to one that's a little more formal and make sure that we vet him for what we should expect from someone who's on site performing work.
because
Well,
doesn't our SUP say that
Oh, yeah,
we have to have,
Right.
it has to be approved by the
And
city or
this had come
something?
up before, but we had effectively tabled it because of everything else on the agenda. But I think it's
Well,
a
he
good
is,
time
he is bonded by the city.
That's
or,
great.
You know, and
Oh, okay.
another issue is snakes,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of people won't work here because of the snakes,
Yeah.
and he will.
Okay.
Oh.
So,
Well, getting his paperwork on file with Denise or with Kathy
Yeah.
and making
Yeah.
sure that we get the I's dotted and the T's crossed. It's not any fun, but I think we should do it in this case.
Can
starting
you
off
take
the
that?
year. I'd be happy to take
Okay,
that.
since you
that
can
one.
speak to him.
No, I'm sure he speaks English too, but I'd be happy if I can get his contact information. If it's okay with you, I could reach out to him directly and introduce myself.
yeah,
or
and I
I
don't
could
have
meet
it
you
with
here.
me
Okay.
right now, but,
Or I can meet you down here on the Saturday when he comes
Yeah.
down, Diane, whatever you prefer. If I'm in town, we just need to, we can chat offline.
okay, yeah, we can
Does
do
that
that.
work? Okay.
I don't know how much impact there is on Saturday, but I do recall in the survey there was some comments about why is there gardening happening on Saturday, which is a very busy day here at the club. I've never been here.
Have you ever been
I've
to any
never
of them? Oh my gosh, you go to San Diego Tennis and Racket, and it does not matter what time of day or what day of the week it is, there is somebody mowing the lawn right next to the course.
So I
Well-
have no idea if there's an impact or if that. I guess
And they
my
pay
question
big bucks
is
over
there
there
an
on
impact
lawn
for those that are here?
Well,
on
I was
Saturday morning?
I was here
That's
one
off
Saturday
hours.
morning at 8, and he was doing weed whacking around the perimeter
Uh-huh.
of the courts while we were playing, and debris was coming up on the courts. It was really noisy and really awful. But I guess the question would be, if it only happens once in a while.
He
I
comes.
was just thinking if
he
there's an
sends
off-peak,
it
off-peak
yeah,
hour, if
the
he's
second
is
Saturday of the
available.
month, and it's posted somewhere, I don't know where. But, it was posted at least that he comes on the second Saturday of the month, and
Well, but if
for
he could
that
do
reason.
he could do the perimeter cutting after 11 or something, it would.
Well, the thing is, he's only here from 7 to 9:30 or 10.
It hasn't happened very often.
Maybe
But
Brian could.
I'd be happy to
Sweet
sort of
talker.
re-engage with them and see. I mean, I think sometimes the landscapers like to work on Saturdays on non-residentials because the people in their homes don't want the
Yeah.
weed whacker going around their homes on Saturday morning either. So we might be getting a
If I can
my
throw a
neighbors.
peanut gallery comment, and I played 8 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning actually, but 8 o'clock in the morning for years here, and yeah, it happens, and people are going to complain, and they still like the weeds whacked.
yeah.
That's-
Yeah.
I have
It
no
hasn't
idea. I
happened
was
very
just
often.
throwing it out
It's
there.
annoying.
The off-peak was
Okay. It's
annoying, and then it's over.
Impact at all. I have no
So,
idea.
so then I'll follow up with Diane and Pablo and get back to everybody on what
Right.
the proposed solution is for the services and paperwork and whatnot. Okay.
And he works a regular job 5 days a week, so Saturday's the only time he can
Yeah. Okay.
come.
And I don't want to discount somebody complaining, but someone's always going to complain.
Sure.
Yeah, like,
Exactly.
if it can be arranged,
Yeah.
it would be nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else you wanted to point out?
No,
Diane, on the
basically, that's
premise?
it.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I'll try to move as quickly as possible during the effort of time. On the special use permit, I think everyone's aware that we're operating under our now officially expired permit from December 31st, but we do have in writing from Kelly at the city that we are expected to and are authorized to continue operating as if the current special use permit did not expire.
Right.
So, in essence, we're in this limbo land where we're officially unofficial. She didn't have a timeline. She wasn't sure, but she also didn't see any roadblocks in our way relative to that process. It sounds like it's just, as I'm learning, the city. So,
Well, what she did say though was, they're looking at changing it, and so it's with the attorneys.
yeah,
And attorneys take time.
Yeah, and it's been there since September. She first mentioned that it was out of her department's hands and it had gone to the attorneys. And anyone's guess is as good as mine. I think what that means potentially is if we stay in limbo land when we get close to the court resurfacing, if the club wants to take on that expenditure, with the assumption that we are going to get the official renewal for another 3 years, but we have some time again until we get to that point. So I don't think there's anything new to report in that regard.
Two things. One is, we've been there before, and we were going 6 years in limbo land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it can be a while.
Not
Okay, so we're just going to continue on as.
Yeah, and we have that in writing.
And secondly, I've talked to a few other managers of different clubs around the city, and they're all in the same boat. They thought they're all set, and then the city says, no, we're not quite ready to
Yeah, yeah.
do that yet.
So that's our environment, and we'll work within it. So.
Do we have an incentive to get that updated? Is it?
She
Not
has. I don't know that we have any ability to influence the speed at which it happens.
Not the speed, but the content. Is there anything in there that we want to update?
We do have an opportunity to suggest revisions or changes to it. We haven't done that as a board yet, but that was something that was mentioned.
So it's not a priority for us?
It hasn't been something that the board has addressed yet.
Would it apply? Well,
That would
we
imply that
addressed it plenty last year.
That it's not a priority.
But it's not a priority as of today. What about the bylaws?
The city doesn't have any concern with our
There was an issue
bylaws.
for you last year.
Yeah, unrelated to the city and the special use permit.
Right. Is it still a priority here?
The current status of that hasn't changed from where the board voted to not pursue changing them at the current time, and that's where we are today still.
So it's all been sort of tabled for you?
Well, that's coming under the annual reports.
Yeah, actually, through a back door we'll get to the bylaws when we get to the annual meeting and annual reports. And I'm not trying to sidestep your question, but I'm also trying to stay on topic. So.
I get what you're saying.
Okay, all right, great.
Brian, before you move on from the city, there were two things that in November, December, when you did the walk around, they said they were gonna fix.
Correct.
One was the
guardrails on the way in.
and then the control system for the sprinkler system.
Yeah.
Any? I know it's the city. So
yeah, I didn't get a more recent update on the. Kathy has more on that. You do. I know they hadn't gotten to that
They
yet.
have the ticket on that.
They
for
do
us.
have the ticket. Did they give you a date though? Because they've had the ticket for a while.
Yeah, not on the guardrail. She also just gave me a ticket. You notice this light that's out here, so we just got a new ticket on that. So those
Okay.
are the two ticket items.
Okay. Yeah.
But no dates.
Yeah. I didn't know about the light. I knew about the guardrail. I think that one's been open for a while. But Kelly's she's trying really hard.
Yeah, it's not her.
She has limited control over the resources as well. And
I don't think we had a ticket though, early on. I think
No.
Kathy just got the tickets.
Progress.
So
Okay.
now it's
on the
It's on there. There's supposed to be here, but we just don't have a particular date yet.
okay, great.
but at least we got the ticket.
We got a ticket. So.
Usually not a good.
So that is on the city. That's where we are. On the next one, the annual reports and meeting. We have a whole lot of things to try and figure out relative to the board of directors election and the dates for the meeting and the protocol surrounding it and if there's going to be food or not in the events. I'm not sure how we want to tackle that, but I think timing is starting to get critical because
Right.
we're all on 1-year terms, and there were some date ranges relative to the board elections that we needed to address. And then I think as far as trying to get a schedule together for the rest of the year, it would be great for everyone if we could hammer out some dates and communicate those to everyone, and then stick with them. You know, if we can't make them, some people, then we can't make them, some people. But to try and get those dates locked in. Yeah.
So are we doing that right now?
Um,
Let's do the.
Yeah, I would like to.
Yeah.
I think it's important.
What we do?
So,
Can we do the board meeting dates first? That will be easy to get out.
well, I wanted to try and start with the annual meeting so that we didn't have a board meeting scheduled where we then had to come back and do an annual meeting the same week. And I think the question I had was relative to the annual meeting being the election as well, if that was what everyone's understanding was, or if not. So the annual meeting will include an update, a presentation of an annual report. It may have been circulated prior, but at least a chance to talk with members, and then to have the vote for the board of directors at the annual meeting. Is that what everyone is?
Yes.
Are we all?
Yes.
Yes.
I think that's a good theme. I think we need a backup plan that allows us to get the type of numbers that are in
For the election. you mean?
bylaws.
Yeah.
So that maybe we have the voting by mail kind of thing somehow woven into that, so we can get
The quorum.
the quorum that's in the bylaws. So I don't think we should depend on a meeting, because if we had a meeting and we had 50 people show up, then it wouldn't be an official vote.
So
But
one.
I think we still have to do it though.
No, I agree.
Yeah,
And I
Right,
think it's
and I-
actually a good thing to do.
Right.
But I'm just thinking as a background or in parallel with that, we have
Some other
intertwined.
method of voting available
Sure.
to people.
Yes.
Of course.
Yes.
I agree.
So then are we also, and I agree, I think having a contingency for how the voting process works is important, but establishing the date of
Right,
the
yeah.
annual meeting. I believe that there were 2 time triggers relative to the soonest that we could have the meeting. Was related to when a nominating committee was appointed, and then a 30-day and a 60-day, and I don't know everyone.
90 and 30, 90 and 60.
I think it was really long.
Yeah, it's a
It was
90 and
ridiculous.
60.
I think it was
long.
I think it was 90 days from the date, no sooner than 90 days from the date that the nominating committee was appointed, and that the nominating committee had 30 days to present their. It's in the bylaws.
Yeah,
I brought
at
it.
least 60 days before the date of election. So it says the president shall appoint the committee for the election board at least 90 days before the date of any election of directors.
When is our election date, I guess?
That
Yeah,
would be the,
so
that would
that's
be the
what we
annual.
need to-
That's what
We
we're
need
trying
to
to
back
do,
into
right.
it.
Yeah.
So that's the annual meeting.
And then it says, this nominating committee shall make its report at least 60 days before the date of election.
Okay.
So the soonest it could be would be 90 days from today. That's not, potentially not realistic.
Well, all you have to do is appoint the committee, and and you've met your 90 days. So we could.
Assuming the committee could get their work, yeah, and then they would have 60 days. So we'd be safe if we were 90 days or further. Is that?
Right.
Is everyone-
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we could have it. We could appoint the committee today, and that doesn't mean it has to happen in 90 days. That means it's the soonest.
Right.
Correct.
And the appointing the committee is
But if
just
we're gonna
like
keep it in May,
Are we doing it
Wait.
in May or June?
if we do it in May, I mean, the 5th is like 80 days away, so we're already like, wow.
Yeah, I think if
When is our term up?
June-
1st? Is that
No,
June 30th is when
June
all of our terms are up. So we would need to have the election no later
Prior
than
to
that. Yeah. Memorial Day weekend is
Yes.
in that time frame.
Yes.
And
7.
so
So that would be a bad time to have
I
that.
think
What is it, May 27th?
Yep.
Is it?
well, and that doesn't. I mean, we should have the election at least a week before the term's end.
Yeah.
So maybe we have to target something like
Like
the
June
15th of May or the 20th
Well, it could
of
be in
May.
June,
Right.
because our terms our terms up June 30th.
Oh, I misunderstood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if you were
Okay.
going with the 18th, that's almost exactly 90 days from now.
Well, I didn't
I mean,
understand
that-
that it was the end of June, so
Yeah.
you know we could
So-
target the last week in May.
I think that's Memorial
Yeah.
Day weekend, or is that
No, the
Memorial Day is the
27th.
27th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that first
So
June 1st is a Saturday. I mean, and we don't have to do it on a Saturday, but
it could be June 1st. I think Father's Day is the 16th, so we're clear of that. For those who
Are we
would-
thinking in terms of an afternoon kind of thing? That'd be easier to arrange
Yeah.
here.
yeah.
So,
Well,
but
remember
if it's
we're having
afternoon,
that
then
big event.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
so
kind of our,
that almost means it has to be a Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah.
Most likely.
And
yes.
it's probably better Saturday.
That would be my thought.
So Saturday, June 1st, starting to sound like a
Kind of.
potential first choice.
Emma, what do you guys say? You
Is
have
there anything on the calendar on that
June
that
1st?
weekend? That first or second?
We're good.
Okay.
So, anyone have any conflicts they see? And everyone has their phones out and they're trying to.
yeah. I won't be
Trying
here,
to-
but that's okay. Do it without me. I will be traveling back that day. I have a medical school graduation the day before.
And we would be able to do a tennis event if you want.
Yeah.
Would you be available on June 2nd, the Sunday?
Yeah, but don't plan it around me.
But
mean-
don't do it on a Sunday.
Don't do it on Sunday.
What about the 8th?
Saturday.
Saturday is
better.
Saturdays
a
are
lot
better.
The
Okay.
8th? Oh,
Well,
Either
Saturday's better.
yeah, I
You
mean,
know, we could
I mean, if
could
it's in the afternoon,
tentatively
I could
say the
theoretically be
first,
back
and
in
then
time.
huh?
if we could tentatively say the first, and then a fallback would be the 8th. I
But
think
I
we.
think we want to set it.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't want to have a fallback. I mean, we want to just go
Just
ahead
know
and.
that-
I mean,
Yeah,
the
just
8th
be
would
like a
be
save
okay.
the date
I mean,
and already
if
start
Yeah.
get that.
does anyone have any
out.
conflicts on the 8th? I mean, just not to exclude. Man, if we don't have to.
I can leave really early. And
How about
start
Kathy?
at-
Do you see anything on tennis calendar for the 8th of June, Saturday the 8th?
That looks fine.
Oh.
So, do we want to set that as a date for the?
Everybody can come.
Sounds
right?
good, yeah.
Walking.
June 8th, yeah.
June
June
8th.
8th, Saturday. Okay, so
My knee's about to exceed its
I know.
ability to sit.
okay, 8th June annual meeting. And then, do we want to go to board meetings now to try to see what other how many
Dates,
we
what-
want?
Okay.
Where everyone has their calendars out.
In March, I'll be gone the 9th through the 29th.
I'd like to almost keep it on the 3rd Friday of the month.
Yeah.
Does that still work for everyone?
That'd be the 15th.
Yeah, that'd be the 15th.
Yeah, I'm gone that day, but it's fine. You guys
Well,
can have
so
it
are
with it.
you.
Yeah. Have we
What about the 8th?
broke the barrier of having an evening?
Evenings are easier for me.
Yeah.
For people that work, I
Oh.
would think it'd be easier, but
Sorry,
You guys are doing a real good.
we're trying.
Bye, good night.
See ya.
Bye, Karen.
Bye, thanks. Is that somebody's jacket?
No, Grace.
You can't come out of the corner now.
Okay,
Have
so
a seat.
I got some
Did-
floor here for you.
someone had thrown out the 8th.
Because you haven't left yet.
I can't on the 8th, but don't go, by all means, go ahead and continue with that.
Or
And
even
like you said, there's not always going to be
Yeah.
a date that's going to work for
Are
everyone.
evenings or days better for everyone? Maybe we could. What is easiest?
Doesn't matter to me.
You're flexible. That's
Yeah.
good.
My days are erratic. They're all different.
Okay.
So,
Friday the 8th in the evening is not as good for
No.
me as during the day.
No, I'm thinking not the evening. I was thinking
yeah, if it was
1
going to
o'clock.
be an evening, I think middle of the week would be better. I mean, you wouldn't want a Friday night, but a Tuesday, Wednesday night.
Does Friday the 8th at 1 o'clock work for at least a quorum.
I mean, I could be there.
I'm available.
Okay.
I can be here until, I can try to get a sitter. Michelle's at B&P in Indian Wells, so I have to pick the kids up. But I can try to get a sitter. I could be here from 1 until...
2.
You know what, I have enough time. I'll find a sitter. I'll find someone to pick them
Or
up.
we just make
Or
it,
you just go without me. Yeah.
no, or we just say, okay,
Right.
we gotta get through everything and
But, yeah,
Got an hour.
Okay, we got,
let's go.
yeah, we got an hour and a half. And it's actually pretty close. So do we want to do Friday the 8th at 1 o'clock?
Okay.
Okay. 3, 8, 15,
So that's March 8th.
Oh, that's the second week? Oh.
Yeah, because
That-
the third
that- and
week
you-
we
you-
were gonna be missing 2 people.
We'll just have to give our report to someone and we can't make it.
Oh, is that baseball?
We're
Maybe
having-
Danielle could bring it in.
Right.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Then the third Friday in April is the Easter weekend.
and that's Good Friday.
Probably
That
not a
might be
good. Probably not a good day for a meeting.
Yeah. What about the 12th, the Friday before that?
Friday the 12th works for me right now.
I can do that
I
as well.
can do that.
Danny, Kathy, are you guys gone again?
Probably. We scheduled everything for the third week in
This is the second week.
Friday. I
Yeah, we
know.
schedule everything for
This
the
is
third
sec-
Fridays of the month. It'll be
Because they thought that's
What day was that one?
Friday the 12th of April.
April 12. Yeah, that one should be fine.
That one's good. Okay. And then also at 1 a.m.
PM.
Sorry, yeah. A little too much cold medicine.
You'll be all by yourself at 1 in the morning.
I'll be here.
Would it be possible to do 12 on that day? On the 12th?
The phones are crazy in here.
Yeah.
If we meet here, because
Yeah, that's
noon is
true.
when everybody calls in, you
You
know.
have spring break.
And,
Well, we
and
just-
if there's
We
leaves,
just put the phone on the machine anyway, right? That's
and if there's leagues, I don't know
right.
if the league's still going, whether get done by noon.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can keep the meetings a little bit shorter.
Yeah,
if we're,
okay. Yeah.
I mean we all
Yes.
try to move through it. This one's a little longer, but. And then, are we looking at having one in May or holding until the June?
No, we'll
We'll
need
need,
one.
we'll need one in May
Yeah.
because
Okay.
we're gonna have a lot
Yeah.
of stuff.
So that the 3rd would be the 17th.
Okay. And do we want to try to have one in the evening to kind of keep
May
a back
17th?
and forth flow from days to evenings? Or no?
Yeah. Sure.
A Friday evening.
No way.
No, it'd have to be a middle of the week evening. And just,
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
And
I was only
that's just a bad week, month for me. That is the only Friday that works for me.
which one was
The
that?
17th.
The 17th.
I mean, not that you need to plan your life.
Kathy,
around
are
it.
you okay with
That is
May 17th,
that's the third.
the
Friday.
3rd Friday?
Is that at 1 o'clock or is it in the evening?
No, I think
1
1
o'clock.
o'clock.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
We won't make that one. We're out of town.
Is there a day that week in the midweek in the evening that would work?
Midweek thing.
In the evening?
On a
Yeah.
on a on maybe the
15?
15th Wednesday in the evening. At 6 o'clock on Wednesday, May 15th.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
At what time?
6 p.m. So just to recap, and then it looks like we would have March 8th at 1 p.m., April 12th, 1 p.m., May 15th, 6 p.m., and then June 8th, time TBD, sometime in the afternoon, 1 or
Yeah.
whatever, potluck at noon or whatever it would be. Basically all day for us, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Fortunately.
Yes.
Sorry, fortunately. Fortunately. Okay. Great. Well, thanks everyone for. And if we're not here, it's rain or shine.
Right.
We're gonna move forward and keep the schedule fixed, and
Okay.
we'll get it up on the calendar again and make sure that everyone's aware. So, okay, great.
Were we able to get the gate open
For what?
for the meeting?
Which
On a
one?
Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be open because
Oh,
they'll,
because Dan and Kathy.
Unless it's raining.
Unless
Yeah.
it's raining.
unless it's raining, but
And then we'll-
they'll have World Team Wednesday nights.
Yeah.
Okay. Then in the, is there anything else we wanted to cover then on the annual meeting and annual reports right now, or do we want to move on and have offline discussion?
I'd say let's discuss the annual meeting, what we're looking at and what needs to be accomplished before that. I think when we talked before, we talked about having a big event with food, like a barbecue and stuff, tennis event.
Right.
We talked about having the bylaw changes at that time, or, putting that out to the
Putting
vote.
that out for a vote.
Yeah, at that time, so that, because we'll hopefully have with the voting of the directors, we could then put that in to have the vote of the bylaws at the same time. Okay, so somebody needs to, you took control over the bylaws before, so it's putting something together.
Yeah, I mean, I should have what we had discussed earlier as a starting point to going back through the bylaws. We certainly had a lot more experience with them in the last 3 months. And do we want to try and set up a separate meeting to go to the bylaws? Probably need to.
Probably. And maybe that should be, that can be an informal one and
Yeah, it could be a series, so we don't have
work
to.
on it
Yeah.
and then report back to the whole group.
But that's a goal we want to tackle though as a board. We want to at that meeting we want to have proposed changes to the bylaws ready and
Yeah.
prepared and vetted. Okay,
Right.
I'm seeing yeses.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want me to orchestrate some informal meetings between now and then to get something going? I mean, it's not going to be tomorrow or next week.
Yeah,
but over the
I think
next
we should
few
probably
weeks get started.
We should probably start with that and then track our progress and if we're not, to a point where we're comfortable by a certain point, we're not going
I
to get there.
could
But
send
I
out
think
to
we
the
should.
board kind of what our thoughts were back in
That'd be
October when it was, plus maybe a couple of the bylaws from Balboa and
Great. Okay.
the other places that we have copies of as reference points. And then schedule something that we could, whoever's available could get together for, a couple hours on a Saturday or a Sunday. Does that sound like an approach?
That's great. So then we'll have an election for the board of directors. We'll have a proposed amendments to the bylaws. We'll have a presentation of an annual report, and then whatever else from a business perspective we need to transact there. And I haven't gone through to see what all else we might be expected to present there. I don't know the last time there was an annual meeting here, so we probably have some liberties in terms of the precedent that we set to the extent it matters. But then there's the social side of it, trying to make it a fun event to
Yeah.
get people
See,
here.
that's
Have to get people
that's
here.
going to take a lot of
That's a
planning.
huge effort.
And it's
yeah.
more, and we shouldn't make it more of a fundraiser. I think we need to make it a,
We just need your body here.
yeah.
We need you come and have fun and,
What's it going to take you to buy this car, right?
yeah.
Food is always a
There
good.
you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, food is always a
Yeah.
motivator.
We don't want your money now. We want your
Vote.
Yeah.
So I can look up for catering, some different menus and some different
No,
options.
no, we
to
don't
do.
need
Beatles.
Yes, you will insult them if you don't use them.
What's that?
You will insult the Beatles if you don't
I don't want
include them.
to do
They've been
I-
doing this for years.
Yeah. So, we buy the food, and then they do the
Buy it.
cooking, but you need to get it organized, for social, you have to get it
Sure,
all
how
organized.
many we have and participants and all that
Yeah.
and such too. so,
Boy,
sure.
that'd be a-
I just didn't wanna burden them with that, seems like a lot of food for them to cook, but it sounds like they've been doing it for a
No,
long
they
time
haven't,
and enjoy
or-
it.
Yes, they have.
Yeah,
Long
they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Can I make
of
one
course,
suggestion?
yeah.
I know one thing that hasn't been done correctly, and we talked about it before, was how the votes are done. I'd like to take that on for myself because what I'm gonna suggest is you have 2 envelopes. Well, now if we have the bylaws, we're gonna have another envelope in there. You have one envelope, with the member's number, where they sign that, whoever's doing it. Then you have your vote that goes into another envelope that goes into that envelope. So when it's sorted,
Oh,
you're accounting for the membership, for the vote for the membership, and you're not seeing who that member is because you've now separated the 2.
so you could check off that member voted without looking
Without
at
looking
what
at
it
What they
is,
voted for.
and then put it in the pile of votes to be counted.
Right.
You could do purple thumbs too, like they do in third world countries.
So I mean, I'm fine. I mean, if you guys want, I'll get all the envelopes and
But it's a nice system.
then we can have another separate envelope that goes in there for the bylaw voting.
Oh,
Because that's supposed to also be,
do we
Anonymous.
want one ballot that's president, vice president, membership,
No.
treasurer,
Yeah.
bylaws?
I don't know that we even have the vote. I didn't get a clear picture from the bylaws that we even vote for the non-officer positions. There was language in there that I thought was confusing relative to cumulative voting for the additional open board seats.
It's really confusing. I think we should kind of take a blind eye to that and continue the process of voting on all the board.
We'll vote on all of them,
'Cause
and then
it's
that's something to address in the change of
bylaws.
the bylaws, like actually make it clear.
So you don't have to.
Because I don't know how you
Separate
interpret
maybe?
that. There's so many things in there, like the board actually elects the president.
Right.
Yeah.
In the bylaws, that was
Yeah,
Right,
I-
everybody you run for a director's thing, and then
the
everybody,
directors of.
you don't know what seats you're gonna get.
Right.
and I think that we need to have them, I think that like the committee, what we call the committee chairs as boards voted, because of the liability on the insurance, the D&O insurance, when you have a vote, it doesn't say that they're directors.
Right.
We aren't voting for a director in the past.
Oh,
It was
director past / president just to meet some of the background in the bylaws.
Yeah, but also for our D&O
like-
insurance.
So they know they're all directors.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, that makes
I
sense.
think having a secondary discussion where we can look at the bylaws and we can address what we think it says or just decide we don't care, but
Yeah.
make it very transparent that we're saying
This is how we're
we-
interpreting
we're-
this,
yeah.
because
Yeah.
We're gonna-
we need to make something
we're,
work.
we care,
Yeah.
but we're going to interpret it this way and make sure that it's transparent, and we hopefully would have a unanimous decision on that, and then it'd be transparent to the members along with whatever the voting process is determined to be, so it can be communicated at once. So there's no possible, because some of us may run again. I mean, and we certainly wouldn't want to be accused of trying to
Oh, game.
Yeah.
influence it.
Yeah, sure.
Gerrymandering.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or I don't know. Or,
Well, and I think that's part of trying to keep it very similar to what we had in the past, so people don't get too excited that something weird's going on.
Yeah.
Just one quick comment. In the years and years and years that I've been a member here, the vast majority of people that run for this board run unopposed. Vast majority.
Sure.
Usually you have to beg someone to be on the board, and then you elect them.
Right.
Though,
So
maybe
it's
that's
kind of like,
maybe that's
it's
changing.
important, but
We
Yeah,
got
you may not
4
know.
or 5 people who want to be considered for the vice president, so maybe I don't know, maybe we just
times it's-
didn't, look for it before.
So-
Alright, just
Yeah, oh yeah,
keep
absolutely.
my words.
So I know okay.
We gotta.
So should we table, well, do we want to appoint a nominating committee, or is that also something we're gonna say doesn't matter because we didn't do it in the past? Or do we wanna
Well,
table it until?
let's, to
wanna
meet,
table it?
well, but
No.
to meet the
To meet the
the
bylaws,
bylaws, why
I think we have
don't
to have
just decide that the board as a whole will be the nominating committee?
an,
Then
we can all
get it
just
done.
go, we can.
But we're gonna
recruit.
nominate ourselves?
Well,
No.
yeah, I think then we just send out an email
But
because
it's
you have to ask people.
something like that. But
Yeah.
if we do that, then we've met we've checked that box. And going forward, if we create a subcommittee, or we ask for membership, or we said, it's all legit. But at least we've checked that box, our 90-day clock is going, and we just say it's the board and the round.
And it can be, the nominating committee could be as simple as, if you wanna run for something, contact a board member, and then we're not gonna say no, we're not gonna, we're not actually
So we're
nominating.
effectively saying it's an open
All
process.
Yes,
members, maybe
yeah.
perhaps
So-
all members, or it could be,
Right.
or
So-
essentially
So
a
you contact a
There's-
board
you know,
member and then,
We're the committee, so then we need to work out the details, of probably need email and stuff, but at least we've checked that box. We don't have to do anything according to the bylaws except start the committee.
Well, no, the nominating committee is supposed to make a recommendation
Recommendation.
of the people for
Right,
the
so
board.
we can collectively recommend that anybody who wants to run gets to run for any seat they wanna run for.
Because you're right, Brian. For us being on the nominating committee, if you were to run again,
It looks a little.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
The optics aren't great.
But in
Right,
all
I
honesty,
think-
anybody can run, just like you said.
Right, so, I mean, and that's maybe something to address in the bylaws.
Yeah.
But for this one last time, before we get the bylaws corrected, we're at least trying to follow what somebody already wrote.
So
My concern is with getting a committee, just as Bruce and I didn't get very many people on a committee, if we open it up to having that committee and don't have.
No,
it.
you're opening it up to the committee. You're opening
We're
it up.
saying, if all the other volunteers have we're it.
We're the nominating committee.
Yeah, and you're
And,
just
uh,
opening it
members
up
are-
to the,
I would just say all members are the nominating committee.
No,
Essentially,
no, no.
anyone could
You
They
can't do
can
that.
nominate themselves,
or
Yes.
nominate
but,
themselves.
but we're the committee that they would have to submit their
right.
nominations to.
Yeah.
Can I just
And-
put in a little word?
Yeah.
What we've always done in the past, I'm not saying you have to do it now, of course, but we've just had that big board out there.
Yeah.
And it has each, president, vice president, and then people have just come and signed up for themselves.
Right, it's been a self-nomination
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
So you
You
name a committee and then you put a board up and let people sign.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
But I think it's amazing that we got 5 people
Yeah.
for the VP, so I think we need to follow.
I think some of the current emails and newsletters that got sent out spurned that more than the average
Interest,
yeah.
amount of interest in being on.
Yeah, but let's feed off it to get
So-
people interested.
So I would be more comfortable just saying that the nominations are open to any member in good standing, or some language
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
that
Oh,
just,
absolutely.
Yes.
that just says, because we're already going to ignore how the election's supposed to happen.
Right.
So ignoring how the nominating committee is supposed to happen is, at that point, we're just saying,
We as a nominating committee are saying what you are.
Yeah.
You're just
Yeah.
gonna send it
I
out.
just wouldn't even form a nominating committee.
Right.
I would
don't
just
see-
skip
I think
that
it's
off.
just doesn't.
But you
No
have
matter
to.
what, we have to have a nominating
Yeah.
committee,
But why?
yes,
But then if you're
to
gonna
put
open
the
it up to
ballots
any-
together, to
Well, that's a
communicate
separate-
who's.
The nominating committee, their only role was to put forth the recommendations for and then they were done, according to the bylaws anyway.
Well, but we
you
have
wanted
to do
go by
that.
the bylaws. I mean, you wanted to go by the bylaws.
Yeah,
Well, I
that's-
know,
I
but
mean,
I do,
having
but
enough-
but I'm also acknowledging and accepting that we're not going to go by the bylaws.
But I
for
think
the
this
election.
one is easy.
Okay,
So
so, but we're
we-
not following the bylaws. If we decide
Right.
we're the nominating committee, we're not following the bylaws, just so
I-
we're all clear.
I
It
don't-
doesn't seem,
I don't
it seems
think that
useless
that's
to have
true.
a nominating committee if anyone can, again.
what do the bylaws say
And
about?
it says
It says
the
president.
president shall appoint a committee to select qualified candidates for election to the board at least 90 days before the date of any election. The nominating committee shall make its report at least 60 days before the date of the election, and the secretary shall forward to each voting member with notice of meeting required by these bylaws a list of all candidates nominated by the committee under this section. So we actually have to have the candidate, according to the bylaws, we need to have identified the candidates at least 60
Right.
days prior
Right.
to the
So
June.
That's the
June
sign up.
meeting.
that's the
But
sign up.
That's the sign up.
So I'm fine,
That's
I'm
fine.
fine
There's
with the
nothing in
sign
there
up.
though that
There's
you read that says the board can't be that committee.
That's correct.
I could appoint the board, I guess.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what we're saying.
That's what we want, so
Yeah.
that's the,
We're
okay.
all hanging together on this.
All right.
Go down, we're going
Going
down
together, oh, trust me. yeah.
So then that gives us till the end of March to,
It's a little unconventional, but why not? I mean,
What has been conventional about this whole year,
very little,
Brian?
very little. Okay,
Yes.
so do we agree at least? Because I'm all for
Yes.
moving
Yes.
forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when we go to nominate, we just nominate everybody that put their name on.
There
or,
are going
you
to
know,
be some
that-
very
that
relieved
showed
members whose
interest.
arms
Yeah.
I twisted to be on the nominating committee that will not have to volunteer now. That'd be great.
And no one can feel slighted because it's open to all
Right.
members.
Okay.
Yes,
So
it
it's
always
all,
has been.
Yes.
you
Okay.
know,
Okay,
it's all,
perfect.
yeah, it's all fairness.
All right. So do we feel that a motion is needed to acknowledge that
I
we're
think
going
this,
to?
you get to do this all on your own.
Yeah, yeah, we just,
you
what
do the
happens when we're in
appointing.
this together? We're all going down together.
We're
Oh, my
together.
fair weather
Unless
friend. My fair weather friend.
there's a challenge, then it's all you.
Okay, so
All
you
right.
make a motion that you're doing
And
it.
I'll second it.
Should the first motion be, I guess if we're going, I'd like to make a simultaneous or a motion prior to this that the board is going to interpret the bylaws in a certain way relative to the election protocol. And then after that motion, I'd like to make the
Wait,
motion.
what? I don't
We have to
understand
be a little
that.
bit more
I
specific.
would be more specific, but we are going to interpret that the board has decided to interpret the bylaws in a. We're not following them for
We
the
are.
election.
we are.
We are.
We're going to follow them.
So far.
Well, the
Yeah,
nominating
so far, when
committee
we get to
would
a
be
particular
the
point,
board.
Okay.
let's have that discussion. But right now, we
It'll
can
give
at
you the
least
same-
say.
Oh, you guys are
we-
twisting
we
screws me,
started-
but I'm going to go along to get
It
along
says
here.
nominate a committee. It doesn't say.
Yeah.
All right.
Doesn't say it can't be the board.
Okay, I'm going along to
It
get
just
along here.
doesn't.
Okay, I will officially nominate the board as the committee.
And
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
See? That's a team.
Really that simple.
You're a great team captain. Yeah. Okay, so we now have a nominating committee that consists of the board.
yes,
Yeah.
when it's still equal opportunity and all fairness, with any member can be a.
So what are we going to do now to get people to sign up in the next 30 days?
board-
So I think we need to compose an email similar to
Yeah.
what we did for the VP and send it out.
Put it on a sandwich board.
Yeah,
People read that.
yeah, putting it on the board and then getting the board up and saying, here,
Okay.
go nominate
I
yourself.
guess we can tackle that outside of
sure.
this meeting.
Yeah.
So we'll have some follow-on conversation then. Okay.
And maybe in the summarized club news.
Okay, so we have a nominating committee. Was there anything else with a timeline attached to it that we need to do tonight
Those are the only
relative
things that I
to?
read
Yeah.
in there.
Anybody else feel we can move on from that for now? So I know it's getting late.
I guess my only other thought on that particular, on our annual meeting there, I know we said we're gonna do tennis. Are we gonna do a tennis tournament? Are we gonna do a tennis clinic? Are we gonna do a tennis?
Why don't we explore that?
Yeah,
We have a lot of
let's take- we
organizing
still
around the,
Things we gotta do
the
tonight.
meeting that we have to do.
Yeah, we-
Bring those, bring those.
Ideas.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we good to move on then from?
Yes.
Yeah, man. All right, moving on. The next one was the alcohol consumption in the clubhouse. I think there's been a number of sidebar discussions on this. I did hear from the city. They have signs that are official city signs that they will make available to us as recommended. There's two types, some that go on fences, some that go on posts. All we need to do is provide the number and the type that we would like, and they'll be made available, and then we can post them wherever. So I think that was definitely a learning correction of errors and a good suggestion relative to that. And then the second part that I wanted to talk about was if there was anything relative to training of the MO staff that we can do or that you have thought about doing to make sure that your staff is educated about what the rules are, so that we don't get into a situation like this again, at least in the clubhouse.
Like we sort of the signage, and also put it into our club rules. It's nowhere posted in our club rules.
So we can definitely add language into the club rules
Yeah, that would
relative
be
to that.
Yeah,
And
that
the-
would really help.
And the website.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So beyond notifying members, whether it's website, is there anything that you feel the board can do to help train your staff so that they're aware of the rule and how to respond if there's a situation similar to that? 'Cause I'm based on your replies, I'm assuming Kenny didn't know that it was not allowed. But I'm not. I don't want to assume that. I mean, either.
But not only that, he didn't know by the time he turned around, what we're gonna do, open bottle of champagne, open bottle of apple cider as well. It was all done before he could have even said anything. And then, as far as training the staff, we are talking to them. Please inform them there's no alcohol consumption on the premises. And if there's no compliance, immediately call me.
And he'll come down.
And I will come down here, or I will talk to that person.
You can put me on the list too. I live very
Yeah,
close by. I mean, if the staff's not, we certainly don't want to put your staff in a position of having
No.
to deal with drunk people. I'm not saying this was the case here, but if there's a transient on the property drinking or whatever, that's a safety situation. But in a more congenial situation, I hope that they would feel comfortable providing a reminder. Say, hey, you can't be drinking in here. Have your party, but no drinking in here. That's what I was trying to get
Yeah,
at.
we'll get it, so we'll have, or they'll call me, then maybe if I'm not available, then the liaison from the board might be able to step up, whoever that might be.
Or could they just tell the members? I guess is my
Well, they can
point.
tell the members.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Okay.
it's hard as a 19-year-old kid to tell a 50-year-old person.
Well, these are 16-year-olds too.
Yeah, so.
Did Kenny
Yeah, but
feel
they-
like that was the case? Did Kenny feel like he didn't, like he shouldn't
Yeah,
say
he just felt
anything?
like he didn't want to step into what they
He
were
didn't
doing.
know the rule.
He didn't.
He didn't know the rule.
Yeah, and so that's all that we're asking is that you make your employees aware of the rule and just, I mean,
Yeah.
to me,
Right.
even a
That they know we
16-year-old
got their
can just
back.
say, hey, were you aware that there is no alcohol, drinking on premises? That's all they have to.
Yeah, they can say that, but also, having been there, it's very hard for a 16-year-old to tell it
Yeah.
before they're an adult.
And
So sometimes they're better off
Dan can come
calling
down
me.
and-
Right.
They can reach me.
But if the sign is up,
Right. If the
Yeah.
sign is up, there's not really.
Yeah, the signage backs it up.
Yeah.
the sign is back.
Yeah,
Matter-
and in our club rules, it backs it up too.
Yeah.
Previous to the previous up to this one, it wasn't in the sub. It's just these last two subs where the no consumption of alcohol has been in there.
So it sounds like we've learned we can move on.
Yeah, we can
your,
move
your
on.
staff will be updated on what the rules are. We're going to get some signs posted, and we have a escalation path if your staff doesn't feel comfortable for whatever reason
Right.
confronting a member, a non-member, or a transient or whomever who's drinking or
Signs
breaking the
is up
rules.
there.
Again, like I said, we want them to do their diligence. If it's somebody they don't feel comfortable approaching,
Then they just
Yeah.
need
Of course
to call.
not.
Yeah.
For any reason.
Yeah.
Any reason. If there's someone throwing rackets on the
Yeah.
court or taking offense or
yeah.
whatever.
But other times we tell them to lock themselves in here too.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not contesting
Uh-huh.
that. So
So who's ordering the signs?
that's on me.
Okay,
I've already
okay.
talked to the city.
Okay, good.
We just need to come up with a number and location, and then we can put those up. And then as far as updating the club rules and the web page, it's probably worth a review of all of the rules and what we have.
I didn't
and-
know we had
I
rules.
didn't know we had.
I mean,
They're
truthfully-
right up behind you there on the bulletin board, and they're on the website.
Yeah.
You
So-
think I could read all the way up there?
Obey the rules anyway. You don't need to read them.
Well, I'm sure many of
All
our
right.
members are real reasonable if the employee on staff at the time and does see them setting up and they're not aware of that, simply saying that that's not allowed in the clubhouse
Yeah.
to
Okay.
to,
All right.
Most of them are, but there are some that.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else, or can we move on from that
Move
on
on.
to the next one? Great. Teaching pros contract plan. Email went out to everybody. We're waiting to get back responses. I don't have anything to talk about now.
Yeah.
So we'll just carry on for the sake of time unless there's anything to add. All right. You're up. It's only 2.5 hours in this time.
I don't have very much. Because we've covered most of it, so. Okay, we're getting towards the end of our court resurfacing, of course, so the bubbles right now are just awful out there. So we're trying to talk to the teaching pros and maybe an email blast of, just to let people know it makes it worse when you step on them and you try to push them down. If everyone can just leave the bubbles the way they are.
It's hard. It's hard to do it. Or, CH Court Tech is gonna come out and look at the lines on Court 8, which we're getting real data, because that's what happened, the bubbles have been popping, now the lines are coming up again. I think he'll probably come down here and reduce some of the lines for free, I'm hoping.
Kathy, can you put up a little, you know, like in a clear plastic frame, right where you sign in, leave the bubbles alone or something, like, you know, like,
Yeah,
It's-
it's,
We have about one more
Yeah.
month of this weather.
yeah, and it's just, it happens every year.
yeah.
And another thing that happens quite often is the players will try to fetch their own tennis balls on the outskirts, and that's why we have the
They'll try to
gates
what?
locked. They
Yeah.
try to fetch their tennis balls
Oh.
if they've hit over the fence. If they just call the front desk, we'll go get it.
So do they,
That
are
was
they
actually
aware
a
of
comment
that?
on the survey.
Yeah.
What great customer service. All you have to
Yeah.
do is call the desk
I
and
do
they'll go
that,
get
I
your
do
tennis
that
ball.
plenty.
I've seen it happen.
I've called several
I
times.
think it was on you, Tommy.
Yeah, you're getting the balls over, Tommy.
Well, that's why I saw it happen. I hit balls over the fence a lot.
Should let people know. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
See, I didn't.
I think it's hilarious, but it's fine.
Well,
I
Because
mean,
then we can
everybody
go on the
tracks mud on
outsides
the
and
courts and.
not get it back on the court.
You know, won't track the mug back in, plus we've had members go up there and fall down the hills.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
there, plus
you
there
have
are
a-
snakes.
Yeah, but any time you old guys fall
There's
down the
snakes,
bushes, it's
yeah.
kinda hard to drag them out of there.
Okay.
Okay, we replaced 3 lights, courts 1, 3, and 5 have all been replaced since the last board meeting. So those are done, and Kathy, you should have got the bill on the last
the
one.
last one I got was
Court
on Court 5.
5. Yeah,
Yeah,
so that's good. The pole on court 9 still needs attention, and we got 3 bids. I have them here. I know you guys probably don't want to look at them now, but I can give them to you, Brian, or Bruce.
Well, we
if
need
you
to
wanna-
get that thing, can we, how much are they?
Wanna
Can we
look
just
at-
go ahead and?
Well, it's
Well, it's
not
gonna take
gonna
some
be.
discussion, because there's a
yeah.
4th bid that says it's something that you don't need to look at right now.
The bids are really separated.
About, what's the range?
Here, I'll just give it.
I mean, I'm just curious on what's it's gonna cost. You know, me and money.
I have one that's 900, one that's 683, one that's 2,000, and one that's, they don't need anything at this time.
So from 0 to 2,000.
Okay.
No, 683.
0, 683, I think the high one was 2,000.
2,000?
Yeah.
Oh, zero, oh,
Yeah.
I thought it was 608, I mean, 6,080.
No, no, I think it was
Oh.
2,000.
The person that says 0 just says doesn't need to be fixed.
Yeah, I think that was what I understood.
Yeah, something, this happens a bit, and it's not creating a hazard,
Well, that's,
but
That's
it
that
might
one
get to
guy's
that.
opinion.
they,
Well, it might not be a hazard, but it might not be conducive to good tennis, I guess.
Well, I played on 9 and I didn't even notice it.
Oh, well, maybe it isn't.
I didn't know.
Is it one of the net posts?
No,
no,
it's,
it's a pole, it's a light
Light
pole.
pole.
Oh, the light pole. I got you.
But
Should we send it to the
one of them
maintenance
thinks
committee
it's
for?
the
Yeah,
windscreen fence
Just did.
is too tight.
Well, the guy that was gonna resurface the courts had mentioned that he could take care of it during the resurfacing process too.
His bid's in there,
But
how
it's,
much was his?
it's-
900.
900.
Oh, jeez. Yeah,
And the guy who regularly replaces our lights is the guy who came out and said,
Don't worry about
don't
it.
worry about it right at this time.
At this time, he says that you have to watch it though, because he has seen them just flop over.
That would
If
be
you
bad.
go over to Helix South,
Well,
you'll
when
see.
is the critical time?
When it
Stop watching it and
Oh,
take
we see
action.
this guy, we see this guy often enough, I think he'll
he'll, he'll keep an eye on it.
I mean,
Okay,
my
it's
only,
done in
yeah,
committee.
my
Yeah.
only suggestion is that
No.
we err on the side of safety, considering it's a
Absolutely.
public facility, and not our own homes. I mean, yeah. Okay.
Doesn't sound like an option.
How else are you looking on the list there, Kathy?
Okay, there's the hose bib out by the gazebo. It's there and ready to go, but I guess, Bruce, we have to wait till the city can get water out to that area, or, because it's really dirty out there, and the gazebo needs water.
How could the whole,
There's a hose
yeah,
spigot.
yeah, But
right
it
by the
doesn't
gazebo.
work
It doesn't work.
if the controls for the sprinkler should have nothing to do with that.
Yeah,
No, I think at one time, there's
No.
leakage going out
It
down there,
doesn't
so
work.
they actually cut the pipe that gets that far and capped it off.
That would make more sense.
I think that's what is happening.
But that would take, I mean, I could fix something like that, but finding out where
Well,
they
come
did
down
it
here.
is.
We'll go look at and dig it up one of these days.
yeah,
He knows where it is.
Oh, if you know where it is,
I
yeah.
know where it is.
yeah, we know right where it is.
Don Stevenson laid it all down at one point, but he doesn't remember.
So we'll make him remember. So, yeah, if you know where it is, maybe we can get together 10 minutes and look at it.
The singles championships round robin, it's just into the quarters and semis, and I
And
think
all the draws are posted
Yeah.
right behind you, Diane.
I think
Those that we did the round robin, those who qualified for the playoffs, they're all in the championship form there.
so they'll be our singles club champions.
I think Seth is really excited. You might look and see who's playing, let him know.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Okay, and then we just needed to get an approval on some dates for our tournaments we set here. First one is August 9th, 10th, and 11th. And the second one is October 18, 19, 20. Those are our Grand Prix.
The Fridays, we'll just use, of course, in the evening if we need them, if the draws are that big. In years past, we never had to play a Friday night match.
What were the October dates again? Sorry.
1920?
October 18, 19, 20.
Thank you.
And what was August?
9, 10, 11 is what I had.
9, 10, 11.
I'm
One thing
okay
we might
with
do
it.
different too is we're going to see if somehow UTR might, we might be able to associate UTR with these events.
What's UTR?
It's now Universal Tennis Rating. Instead of NTRP and those things, I think it's going to go to this Universal Tennis Rating system. All the pros are going to it. Colleges are going to it. I hear high schools are going to it. All the junior events. So now, instead of 3.5, it develops more on your head-to-head matches, who you played, and you get so many points.
It's all over Tennis Channel. That's all I know.
Yeah. So, that might be a little different. We might be able to get UTR ratings out of these tournaments, which would be kind of neat.
So that would be a bonus, like if you entered the tournament, you could get your UTR
get
Yeah,
rating.
you can get your initial
points.
UTR rating.
Any objection to those dates? Anyone? I mean, they seem fine to me. So, motion to.
Motion to accept the dates for the MO tennis, Grand Prix tennis.
Second.
Second.
Second. That was Kathy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. MO Grand Prix dates August 9, 10, 11, and October 18, 19, 20.